So he's basically telling me that it looks awful because of this awkward face.
Let's be honest. I didn't know what was happening. Didn't really know. I mean, and far be it for me to judge anybody's style or their appearance or anything like that. I'm just saying I didn't know what we were going for because I understand that you have to be on the TV side of things too.
It's really wild. I got my buddy Calvin. Yesterday after he saw me on TV in the early show. Where'd he go? And he said. He said, "That's it. I'm bringing the Clippers down to clean you up."
Yeah, is there like a TV side of this that could come into play where the TV people are like, "Yo, you need to get your hair cut."
You know, here's the fascinating part about that. We're all a little vain to some degree, right? Especially in the TV world. And there is no way in heck I would not have got a haircut if you take me back 10 years ago, especially 15 years ago, whatever. You do reach a point in TV, like I don't want to say you don't care how you look, but you're really not like patting down every piece of hair before you go on. There is a part of that in your career, like you're like, man, I got to make sure everything looks good. Throw on whatever powder you're supposed to throw on.
Especially these HD cameras too, man.
Oh, that's it, right?
Oh, man.
Well, there is a part of that during your career where, like, that's a big part of it, right? You want to make sure you look all right.
Yeah.
Not really the case anymore. Like, not really the case
Doesn't
anymore.
care. Yeah.
So, like, now I am waiting. I'm like, all right, are the bosses going to say something?
Yeah.
But they've got to say something about the other guy before they say something about me. I mean, they have to. Like, it's way more noticeable with the other guy.
Okay.
I think it is.
So then obviously the other guys also works with you in the Okay. So then I know who it is.
We're just not
I got
allowed
you.
to say his name.
No, I got you. Okay. Cool.
And who would want?
Right? I guess.
We are allowed to say his name, but I just don't.
Yeah.
I prefer the other guy.
All good.
So that's it. Welcome to an early start of Action Sports Shacks on ESPN 690 on a Tuesday about how many pair of underwear I've had on today and also my hair.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Hitting the hard-hitting topics, Brent. Nothing wrong with that, man.
Meanwhile, Leonard Fournette held a protest today in downtown Jacksonville, and he, again, announced this. This was not necessarily on the heels of Friday. It's presented that way because Friday, the Jaguars players and coaches had a demonstration, and a peaceful one at that, downtown, and so this one follows it. But I actually think Leonard mentioned that he was going to do something even prior, and this came together, and it looked like it was peaceful and well done. Mayor Lenny Curry was there. Sheriff Mike Williams was there. Several players were there once again in support, and a lot of the community showed up. That's what made this one a little bit different because he said, hey, come on down. And we were just trying to guesstimate how many folks were there. I wasn't there. I had some meetings this morning, so I did not attend this one. But you were there.
Yeah.
And what would you say? You said maybe close to 1,000 people?
I mean, realistically, probably maybe 700, 800 people, you know, and I'm the worst when it comes to estimating types of crowd numbers, but it seemed like, given the circumstances, obviously being on a Tuesday, being at 10 o'clock when people are probably working right now, given the circumstances, it seemed like a really good turnout.
Yeah, and I don't even know if the numbers matter in this stuff. Like, I don't think people are keeping score about it. There were a few hundred people out there when the Jags did theirs on Friday. Public wasn't necessarily invited, if you will, or given a heads up, I should say is a better way to say it. This time around, it was kind of pushed out there for Leonard Fournette, and you could tell he was pretty proud of it, and a lot of the players too. How did it go?
I thought it was great. You know, it was Lenny Curry kind of spoke his piece a little bit. It was good to finally see him at, you know, one of these rallies, at one of these protests. So I thought it was good from, I guess, his image, you would say, to show face a little bit, you know, and obviously taking down the statue is one thing. Now, you know, there's obviously much more work to go, and he kind of stated that. So hopefully, kind of like he said, he keeps on listening to the public, keeps listening to these protests, and tries to take, you know, the protest word a little bit of pushing things forward and advancing the conversation. So that was good. It was interesting because from the protest concern, it was probably the smallest one that I was at, you know, in terms of like the size, right? But
you've been to 3 now, right?
3 of them, yeah. But in terms of the conversation, it's probably the most conversation I've had with people.
Interesting.
And when I say conversation, I mean I talked to this random white dude, and he didn't know who I was, man. Like I was holding up a sign, and he came up to me. He's like, basically to kind of set the whole story here. I bring a sign to every one of the protests, and on one side it says, anger is what I'm feeling, peace is what I'm showing. And then on the other side, it says Black Lives Matter. Okay, so he saw the anger is what I'm feeling, peace is what I'm showing side. He came up to me. He's like, hey, man, I don't know how you feel about a hug. Like, I give you a hug? I'm like, sure. Now, I didn't know this dude. I'm like, okay. I mean, it was kind of weird, to be honest with you, because it's an older gentleman, obviously, and he's a white guy, but he had a son with him. So I was like, all right, I think we're all good. So he gave me a hug, and then we just had a conversation a little bit. He was actually from L.A., and he was in L.A. when the Rodney King stuff was going on, all those protests and all those riots and everything. And he said that he felt guilty because he just kind of sat on the sidelines and watched. He didn't ever speak up for anything. He just kind of sat as a bystander. So he said he's trying to make it up to, the community, I guess. He's trying to show his son the proper way to go about things. So, he was out there for, Leonard Fournette to do his thing. So he said, it was great that the Jacksonville Jaguars kind of rallied behind the community, and he found out about it, and obviously he was out there in full effect. So that was a great conversation that I had. Also saw Ernest Wilford.
Yeah.
All right. And that hit me a lot harder than I thought it was going to hit me for some reason. I see him, and he didn't see me first. So I could go up and tap on his shoulder, and I have my bandana around my mouth because obviously COVID-19, so I was wearing the mask and everything. I pulled the mask down. He's like, "Oh, Austin, what's up?" So we had a great conversation, man. I gave him a hug too as well, and we just talked for a little bit, man. Then he kind of went on his way. He had to go patrol a little bit, but right before I left, he found me again and said, just gave me another hug and said, "Hey, stay safe out here." And I told him the same thing, So that was a really cool moment in itself as well. So overall, I mean, listen, the message hasn't changed. The passion hasn't changed. And when the Jaguars were kind of done doing their thing, we kind of rallied at City Hall again where we started from, right? And then as people kind of went back to their own devices, and left, there was a small group of people who kept on, with megaphones, kept on protesting and chanting and everything, and I stayed behind a little bit just to kind of watch them and see what was going on here. And it's crazy, man, this next generation coming up, right? Because predominantly these people in this group, they were all maybe 15, 16, 17 years old, okay? I'd be surprised if half of them could even drive yet. And they all had their megaphones. They were all chanting. They were all passionate. They're all kind of speaking their piece and everything and putting out in the universe. And I didn't take, I literally was kind of, watching this. I didn't really, I was chanting and everything too, but, they kind of passed the megaphone around. Everybody kind of had a chance to say what they thought. I didn't speak at all. I just kind of sat back and watched dang, okay. These kids out here with all this energy, and let's be honest, you mentioned it yourself. It's hot out there, man, okay? It was very humid today. The sun was out for a little bit, so it was a warm one, but it was cool to be around, obviously, the Jacksonville Jaguars organization, but then also the kids, the teenagers, they're out there in full force doing their thing as well.
Okay, good landscape of what it was. It's interesting you brought up Ernest Wilford. That still is one of the most powerful images. Chris Conley, Ernest Wilford on the steps of JSO from Friday's protest, in my opinion, that I have kind of in my mind, and it will remain that way. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I have a thought, and I was thinking watching this morning of our coverage on Action News Jax and this peaceful protest and what has transpired in the last few days. From a Jaguars point of view, we talk sports here on the show. So from a Jaguars point of view, from an athlete point of view, I have often said we might be living in the greatest generation of athlete ever. LeBron James, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods just come to mind. Ever, maybe. I always thought it was like in the 40s and 50s. But this might be it. The movement, the voice of the athlete, how much does it add to that? Is this the greatest generation of athlete ever on and off the field? Let's talk about that for a little bit because I think it does have some rivals. I think we have to be very aware of history here. But what we're seeing in action the last couple of weeks and really the last few years might say yes as well. Your thoughts on that? Our thoughts on that when we come back. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the first alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Very warm and humid today. Keep the umbrella handy with scattered showers and storms. Highs around 90. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 at Fox 30. Action News Jax from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds Buy One, Get One Wedding Band Sale through this Sunday at Beard's Diamonds.
Did you know that you have the power to positively impact a local child's life? It's as easy as donating to Daniel, Florida's oldest child service agency. Daniel provides counseling to abused children. Daniel helps homeless teens find shelter and learn to live independently. Daniel connects kids with foster families and strengthens at-risk families so they can stay together. They've done all this and more for 135 years. Please become a part of improving the lives of local children and families by donating at danielkids.org today.
At Action News Jax, we tell a weather story that's really built just for you. Most of us have lives that take us out in the elements for work, for play, or just getting from point A to point B. And that means you need to be ready to get through your day.
I'm Action News Jax First Alert Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
Our team of meteorologists didn't go to school just to read you temperatures. We do this so that the people that trust us know exactly what to expect today, tomorrow, and the next day.
Action News Jax First Alert Weather Team. We're here for severe.
This is a CMG Open for Business report. During these changing times, it's challenging for businesses across North Florida, big and small, but businesses are adjusting to meet your needs in a safe and comfortable way. Here's today's list of businesses that are open for you. Best Fence and Rail, Peterbrook Chocolatier, Nona Blue Modern Tavern, Navis Pack and Ship, Georgie's Diner. If you're open for business, let us know by emailing us at openjax@cmg.com. Together, we're getting through this. Now more than ever, you need the open road. Windows down, wind in your hair, pure freedom. Then go see our friends over at Arlington Toyota, because their massive construction sale was made to put you behind the wheel today. Think you can't afford a new ride? Think again. At Arlington, you choose 0 down with low payments or no payments until 2021. Get to Arlington today where you can drive away in a Toyota RAV4 XLE for $285 a month with 0 down or no payments until 2021. That's a pre-owned RAV4 for $285 a month with 0 down or no payments till 2021. How about a Toyota Tacoma for $285 a month with 0 down or no payments until 2021? We're talking about a pre-owned Tacoma for $285 a month with 0 down or no payments till 2021. Plus, with Arlington's Credit for Everyone program, if your Beacon score is from 450 to 850, Arlington's getting almost everyone approved. And you get Arlington's 30-day exchange policy on any vehicle you purchase. As always, your safety is Arlington's priority. Go see them today, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit Arlington Toyota/June offers for full details.
Oh, it's hot in Jacksonville. Summer is here. Hotter weather means your family should be drinking more water. Stay hydrated, but make sure you do it in a healthy way. Take care of your family by having clean, purified water. That's what we have in our house. With a Kinetico system from CGC Water, you can remove up to 99% of contaminants. And right now, you can get an incredible offer, a free A200 reverse osmosis drinking water system with the purchase of a Kinetico Premier Softener. Call CGC at 904-552-1242. CGC will test your tap water so you can better understand what's in your water. That's important. It's free, and there is no obligation to buy anything. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. And while you're on the website, CGC wants your help to recognize frontline workers. They've been doing a great job. Nominate a worker, and they might get a free RO system. cgcwater.com, serving Northeast Florida and Southeastern Georgia. CGC Water Treatment, your local independent Kinetico dealer.
If you don't have Safe Touch monitoring, there's a good chance your system is getting monitored from someone's home. Yes, work from home has come to the security industry, but not at Safe Touch Security. At Safe Touch, that is totally unacceptable and doesn't meet UL requirements. At Safe Touch Security, our monitoring center is committed to maintaining our high standards. The only guaranteed response in the alarm industry with an incredible 8-second average. And our two-way communicator provides the very fastest response from the emergency authorities for burglary, medical, and fire. And the Safe Touch crash and smash technology detects crime before it enters the property. Our halo of protection and Safe Touch cameras report crime before it happens many times. And every Safe Touch security system is custom designed for you and comes with our exclusive Safe Touch parts and labor agreement at no charge. Safe Touch security systems have a guaranteed response and are installed by real professionals. Know you and your family are safe and protected the right way. Go to safetouch.com right now for more information. Safe Touch, doing what others can't for over 35 years. State license number EF 0000233. It's sale time at your neighborhood Ace with cool gifts for Dad, like grills by Weber and Traeger or Big Green Eggs, and lots of items from Yeti. Ace Wild Bird Food in the 20-pound bag, 2 for $10. Air filters, various sizes, buy 2, get 1 free. Get liquid chlorine in the 1-gallon jug for just $2.99. Pool shock treatments in 1-pound bags, 3 for $10. Find more great deals in the location nearest you at acehardware.com. Sale ends June 22nd.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Skip a meal during COVID-19 for Clara White Mission by sponsoring Breakfast to Go for the homeless. It only costs $25 for 13 meals a day, $50 for 25 meals, or donate $500 to feed 250 homeless for a day. Join us as an individual, business, church, or civic association. Skip a meal for the Clara White Mission today. Visit clarawhitemission.org and click on Give Now or call 904-354-4162. Clara White Mission, over 116 years of service to our community.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Austin Land of Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Check out our podcast on all platforms. Just search ESPN 690. I'm not going to tell you to subscribe to our podcast because I'm not that type of person. I'm not that desperate. But no, seriously, subscribe to our podcast. Thanks.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
This movement goes to action. I think right now there's a lot of people who are willing to listen. There's a lot of people who are willing to use their voice. But attention is only goes so far. We want action. We want things to change. We want reform. We want reform in policing. We want criminal justice reform. We want opportunities for urban communities and underdeveloped areas. And so those are the things that we want to see happen. We won't want to hear just lip service. We want to see action.
That is the voice of Chris Conley, Jaguars wide receiver. And once again was at this protest and really was one of the, front and center folks on Friday's protest at Jacksonville Sheriff's Office with his very eloquent and impassioned speech. And here we are, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and in the middle of the night on Tuesday morning, if you will, one of the Confederate monuments that Chris Conley in his speech referenced comes down. It was first vandalized over the weekend, I believe, and now it's down. And it's, according to Mayor Lenny Curry, not the only one coming down. So instant action. If you really start to think about what's happened in Jacksonville, and this isn't whether you like it or not or whatever, but just stop and think of what's happened in the last week. From Wednesday to Tuesday, that's a 7-day stretch. Wednesday morning, Jaguars owner Shad Khan issued an op-ed which was very passionate, well-spoken, heartfelt. You could tell from a guy that I continue to say is the epitome of the American dream, but also denounced racism and other things in that op-ed, but also said, hey, we need to take some action. Well, he didn't necessarily lead the action that then ensued, but on Friday, his players did, coaches did, and there was a march and a protest, Conley's words, other folks' words. And then on Tuesday, Leonard Fournette, another player, leading another peaceful protest. And about that same time, Lenny Curry, hand in hand, basically saying Confederate statues or monuments are coming down in Jacksonville. So Shad Khan, eloquent message, calls for action, gets action on Friday. Chris Conley calls for action, eloquent message, gets action on Tuesday. And I think this latest action now comes with a little bit more controversy with the Confederate monuments coming down. That will bring more of, I would say, whether it's political debate, whether it's historic debate, I don't know if you noticed any of that today or not, kind of both sides of the arguments about history and the monuments. But what I'm looking at is, wow, man, you're talking about an organization that is in the entertainment business, in the NFL, that's responsible with playing football and winning on Sundays. And gosh, we wish they would win more because they, quite frankly, haven't won enough. And it's been a tough dozen years. But look what they've done off the field in a week's time. And that is hard not to notice the impact. And what I've often said is the Jaguars, whether you like it or not, are part of the fabric of this community. They are a top 5 story on a weekly, daily basis if something happens with the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Again, whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, they are. It's that big. And what we've seen them do in the last week and be a part of and be front and center on is pretty powerful. And you talk about action, they're putting action to work. But it also begs the question, what else can they do over these next days, weeks, months ahead? And maybe not only when it comes to this issue.
To me, it is important, because, listen, it takes all type of people to make this thing work. We talked about yesterday a little bit how just a rogue employee, if you will, at the NFL offices kind of in an unprecedented move just did his own thing. And in return, Roger Goodell came out and, he had his speech all because of one employee felt like, things were wrong. So it takes all types of people. But to have the Jacksonville Jaguars, organize these peaceful protests, to have guys like Leonard Fournette, guys like Chris Conley voice their concerns, speak their truth, it's a powerful thing, because I would be naive to say, well, they're just like everybody else. That's not true, okay? These guys, whatever they say, their voices are going to carry a lot more than just the standard person. And I'm not saying that's right, but that's just the way it is, all right? That's the way the NFL is treated here in America, okay? And in terms of influence, in terms of just optics and eyes around these players, everyone's watching, So anytime the Jacksonville Jaguars organization can, find a way to help the cause, to do their part, it's going to pay dividends, okay? Because today I saw, some organizers of the Black Lives Matter movement here in Jacksonville, some speakers that I saw last Saturday, they were handing out water, and then they were essentially kind of working, for the Jaguars. Like they were making sure that everyone was comfortable. They're making sure everyone was hydrated. There were masks being passed out. But like the end, so like, listen, the Black Lives Matter movement in Jacksonville, it's a strong one. There's a lot of passionate speakers, and there's a lot of people that donate their time and energy to make it a special thing. But today it was with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was their thing, right? So I don't want to say the Black Lives Matter movement stepped aside or anything, because that's not the case at all. Everyone's working together. But like today, it was the platform for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And obviously, hopefully a lot comes of this. Hopefully it gets the national attention that it deserves, and we can keep on having these conversations.
Yeah, we continue the conversation. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane. It brings me to a question. And this is what I thought of this morning. I teased it before break. Is this the greatest generation of athlete that we have ever seen? And I've often said it anyway. I think we might be living it. And this is from an on-the-field perspective. I brought up the names earlier. Tom Brady, greatest of all time. It's not even really a debate anymore. Greatest of all time in football. LeBron James, right there with Michael Jordan. In the conversation, if you want to debate it, although most people would say second, but you get my point. Mm-hmm. Tiger Woods. I really don't think – I think if you ask 10 people, I think people will give a lot of credit to Jack Nicklaus, but I still think greatest golfer of all time. It might not add up to the majors, but it's going to be Tiger Woods,
dude, yeah.
I believe. And we know the impact, let's just say – LeBron and Tiger especially, but probably Tom Brady too, has made on society and community and giving back. And, a couple of those guys, I would say in particular, and LeBron and Tiger are global icons. Mm-hmm. And I'm just mentioning 3 names. But you can go on the list and on and on for the NBA. Whether it's Harden and Giannis and Steph Curry and Durant. And, just the stars in the NBA now. Mm-hmm. Heck, the stars in Major League Baseball. Mike Trout might be an all-timer right now. And although Major League Baseball doesn't get talked about as much, we see so many great athletes, and I don't know if they compare to the Ted Williams and Joe DiMaggio era and Bob Gibsons of the world, but they might knock on that door someday. It's that youthful and that talented right now in Major League Baseball. The NFL is full of stars. I don't know where hockey stands in, but golf and other sports. So I think of it on the field, and I've said it over the last handful of years, we might be witnessing that. You have to appreciate that. You have to enjoy that. You can tell your grandkids you watch Tom Brady, play right here in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. You watch LeBron if you went down to a game in Orlando. You watch Tiger play at the Players' Championship. I appreciate the heck out of that. I think we're living in a bit of history when it comes to greats in sports. But I've also been very cognizant and measured at I'm not saying it's better than this other era, but it's certainly in the conversation. Well, now it got me thinking this morning, off the field, from Colin Kaepernick to any of these NFL stars now that we see, and this is not just a Jacksonville thing. I'm talking broad and how involved the athlete now is. LeBron James, by the way, very vocal in terms of social issues and has been willing to put himself out there for that. Again, this is not whether you agree or not with stances. This is, wow, these guys off the field, these guys and gals, I should really say, because maybe the female voice is as loud as it's ever been able to be in our country from an athlete perspective. Boy, you really wonder if this is the greatest generation of athlete, the most impactful generation of athlete that we've ever seen. Now, I say that, and then I'll let you chime in on it.
Sure.
You got to remember, in like the 1940s, and I'm going to show you just a couple of brief examples, and I'm probably missing a lot, and I admit to that. But just in the 1940s, I mean, we had guys like Ted Williams, our baseball heroes, going to war and being war heroes.
Sure.
You know, I mean, that happened. Like, they went and fought in wars so they certainly had a huge impact. So that's what we're comparing this generation of athlete to. Also, Muhammad Ali. We know his impact that he made, you know, in society.
Obviously, you had Tommy Smith and John Carlos, too, at the Olympics, you know, with the raising up their fist on the podium.
So I want to be careful here when I say it. It's not like, well, this is the first time we've seen athletes. No, that's not the case. But we're watching a movement happen, and we're watching athletes be front and center on it. And I know we pay attention more to the athlete, but my mom can now recognize that the athlete's front and center on this movement, this discussion, these last couple of weeks. That's evident. Every town, every city, whether it's college coaches, whether it's NFL coaches, whether it's NFL players, whether it's NBA players, they're out there in your city, all over the country, making these movements. And I would say all over the world. We saw soccer players over the weekend, too. So it just really rang true to me this morning. It's like, wow, we might not only be witnessing the greatest athletes of all time on the field, on the court, in their arena, but we might be looking at the most impactful generation of athletes we have ever seen in the world or in the country.
Without a doubt, the most impactful and without a doubt the most influential. And once again, with all due respect to Muhammad Ali, all due respect to Tommy Smith, John Carlos, and some of the other guys that you mentioned. But this is by far the most impactful generation, hands down. And to me, it's not even up for debate because of one reason right here. This little thing right here, okay? I'm holding up my cell phone for people that are just listening. This thing right here is a magnifying glass, okay? This thing right here shows you who an athlete is not only on the field, but off the field as well, okay? I remember when I was a kid growing up, and I think of some of my sports heroes like Michael Jordan. I think of like Brett Favre. I think of like Barry Sanders. I think of like, just heroes, Wayne Gretzky. And I had no idea who those people really were. Okay, because I didn't have a cell phone, I didn't have Twitter, I didn't have Facebook to tell me, like, well, this is what they do in the off season. This is what their personality is like. All I had to go off of was 2-minute sound bites of a press conference. Okay, and then eventually, if that person wanted to write a book, a tell-all book, well, then down the line, then I found out about them as well. Like, for instance, Brett Favre, no idea that guy had a pain pill problem for half his career. Okay, a very serious one. Didn't find that out until I actually read the book. Nowadays, with social media, with Instagram, with the Twitter, with Facebook and everything like that, it gives you a glimpse not only of who they are on the field, on the court, on the ice, on the playing surface, let's just say, but it gives you a glimpse of who they are behind it, right? So as a kid, when I was growing up, Michael Jordan was like a god to me. He was on the highest pedestal that you could ever think of. When I was with LeBron James, LeBron James should be up there as well, but guess what? I know LeBron James in the Taco Tuesdays, okay? I know I've seen LeBron James probably more off the court than I have on the court. You know, whether it's his shows on HBO, whether it's his thoughts on Twitter, whether it's his interviews. Like, I have a good idea. I know who LeBron James is. And you know what that does? That takes him off that pedestal that so many kids probably put him on, and it brings it back down to the level a little bit. You know why? Because guess what? I like Taco Tuesdays. LeBron James like Tacos Tuesdays. Like, we have something in common with that, right? So my point is that right now I think athletes have never been more skilled. They have never accomplished more, athletic feats, let's just call it. But at the same time, they've never been brought down more to the human level because we know who these people are off the field. It's almost like the quote-unquote Bachelor effect. Listen, I don't watch The Bachelor on ABC. I think it's a crappy show. But people like to watch The Bachelor because they identify with these characters and they kind of want to see it through a little bit. Like, it's almost like they kind of have, like a dog in the fight a little bit. Like, well, I like this guy. I hope this guy gets picked. Something like that, right? Well, the same thing with professional athletes, where it's like you fall in love with these people for who they are off the field, and you want to see it through. You want to see them succeed, and you want to, see them fight for what is right. And that's what we're currently going through right now. So as far as influence, as far as impact is concerned, like I said, it's not even close right now. Today's modern era athlete, no matter the sport, is definitely probably regarded as the most impactful.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting you bring up, but you're right. The voice they have is unbelievable, but the following they have as well, and I'm not just talking about fans and citizens, I'm talking about other players. And maybe it was like that at other times, but I don't remember it coming in waves like it's come now, especially this most recent one. And the other thing is, some people look at it as the questioning of authority, and a lot of people don't like that, right? Almost like an insubordination in your own, workplace, and I'm not talking black or white. I'm just talking, your boss is this, the commissioner's this, the owner's this. You can't question that.
Sure.
Right? And that happens in a lot of workplaces. You feel uneasy about questioning it.
But
right?
Let's be honest, though. Questioning authority is something that's ingrained since we were a little kid.
Absolutely.
Since we had a bedtime of 7 p.m. and we were like, kind of stay up a little later,
True.
You question authority. I mean, this has been going on since you were a baby.
But it almost feels like this, when you want to question authority, sometimes you're right and they are wrong. Mm-hmm. This generation of athlete is willing to say, you know what, I'm going to step out of here. I'm going to risk this. And by the way, more money than ever, maybe in some cases, and use this voice and use this platform. I believe in it, and I'm not afraid to question it or challenge it in a way. So the other thing I believe that's different, if we ask this question even as soon as 20 years ago, probably more a little bit later than 25 or 30 years ago, I think a lot of people, there's that old kind of stereotype of the dumb jock.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just always, whether it was in your high school or whatever. Well, that certainly has really never been the case, but it's definitely not the case anymore. I mean, we celebrate the stories of the eloquence of Chris Conley, the smarts and the ability to do what Myron Rolle from Florida State, who played in the NFL and has done, right, against COVID-19, but also just the fact, Rhodes Scholar, all these.
It's crazy, man.
We celebrate Joshua Dobbs, we call him Astro now.
Yeah.
Because he's a rocket scientist.
Dude's probably going to space one day. It's crazy to think about.
But we celebrate those things. We acknowledge those things. We've learned more about the player. And I just gave you 3 examples of black athletes, and I didn't really even mean to do it that way.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of smart, intelligent athletes out there that are using their voice. I think LeBron's one of them. I think that they know this stuff. They're not uneducated about what they're speaking on. Not only this movement, but other movements that we've seen.
And you mentioned it's questioning authority, right? And I agree with you there, because I remember even when I was in a locker room, and I speak about it like it was 20, 30 years ago, but I mean, let's call it almost a decade now, when I was a rookie. And like, for instance, when I was a rookie, we had Jack Del Rio. We implemented the Oklahoma drill, right? Now, there was 2 sides of I guess that theory where it's like, well, Oklahoma drill is good because obviously it teaches toughness, gets everybody ready for camp. You put the pads on, so the first day of pads, you get them cracking a little bit. And it's supposed to be, a masculine, physical type of activity, let's just say. And the other school was like, well, why are we doing Oklahoma drills? Because now you can risk injury, right? Like it doesn't really simulate an NFL play. Like, we don't ever do an Oklahoma drill during a game, so why do we do it in practice? And like, back when I played, whether it was the captains, the veterans, or the rookies, like, nobody ever questioned it, right? It was just like, you just kind of go with the status quo because that's the way it is. I have a hard time believing nowadays in that NFL locker room that they would allow Oklahoma drills, because the question that it always comes down to with this modern era athlete, and the question that always comes down to when you're questioning authority, is why. This is the why generation. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Why? And I think it's an important question, not only for obviously in sports, but also the world as well, right? And you have to keep in mind, if you ask that question, why, well, you better do your research and figure out, if someone tries to counter you, why it's going to be like that, right? So you talk about Chris Conley, talk about Joshua Dobbs, these smart individuals who now they're celebrated. Maybe back in the day a little bit, it would be like, oh, these nerds right here. But no, man, like these are powerful, eloquent speakers, and they should be celebrated. And they're asking the questions why. Why are these monuments still up right now in Jacksonville in terms of the Confederacy? Why are they up? It always comes down to why. Okay, so that's what I think the most important question is right now for professional athletes or even members of society is you have to ask the question why.
It's interesting. They've put themselves, athletes now, and especially in the last 2 weeks. And I said this Friday about Chris Conley. I don't think he asked to be a star in this. But he is. He's a voice now here in Jacksonville. He's a voice on this movement for this cause, whether he likes it or not. He is. So that's what the responsibility of today's athlete, if they join the cause, if they join the movement, if they're part of it, they now have kind of a responsibility to not only discuss, have conversations, but also take action.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we've seen the last couple of, in the last week. I think we saw the Jags players and coaches take action. I think we saw Leonard Fournette take action. And now begs the question, what more will athletes do? What action is there next to take? And they'll have to lead down that path. But they've kind of accepted that. Now they have to be kind of a little bit of responsibility. Listen, they didn't say, hey, I'm running for office and I want to be a public figure. That's different. But they've kind of cast themselves, athletes across the country now, into, the faces of this movement. And it will be just as much upon them, I think, to continue the conversations, continue to create change, as it is on all of us to continue the conversations and help create change.
Absolutely.
So now that's a sense of responsibility they'll carry, I think, in this generation of athlete, and as impactful as they've been. When we come back, one more thought on this from today, at least for now, and then is Leonard Fournette. I have said, maybe it was about a month ago, I don't know, that he, to me, is one of the most interesting characters that's ever worn a Jaguars uniform. He's complex in that sense. I really don't know if fans sometimes know whether to love him or want to get rid of him. And he just kind of added to it here this morning. Really interesting persona in Jacksonville Jaguars history is Leonard Fournette. We'll hear from him. We'll talk a little bit more about him next on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. This is Brett Martineau from Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Hope you catch the show Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. on 10 different platforms. But if you missed the show, you missed this. Dana White with us, president of the UFC.
You don't realize how much you miss live sports. I'd even watch golf right now.
Oh, Dana, don't say that, man. I have to talk about golf like twice a week on the show.
Subscribe to the podcast and check the show out on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Get the podcast daily. All you have to do is search ESPN 690 in your podcast app.
Hello, business owners. We're all in this together. Our company, CMG Jacksonville, knows you need clients to trust your brand. We have the right people and the ideal platforms to help you do that. It's important to advertise now, more than ever. Now, to create an unbreakable loyalty to your brand, CMG Jacksonville can help you make that happen.
Hi, my name is Toriano Newkirk, media consultant for Cox Media Group Jacksonville. I help connect people to make businesses grow, and I'm here to learn about your business and provide you with creative solutions for radio, digital, live events, and more. Let's build your brand. It's my passion, and I'm ready to help you grow your business and exceed your goals. To learn more, give me a call at 904-245-8772. That's 245-8772, Cox Media Marketing Monster.
I call them 3 shirt days. That's when the summer heat in Jacksonville just sizzles. It's relentless, and you want to be prepared for it. Bold City Heating and Air will help you do that. Nothing worse than sweating in your own home and wondering, hey, what happened to the AC? We've been there before. Your air conditioning unit needs to be ready for the heat. It might need to get serviced. The hot weather is here, and Bold City Heating and Air is here for you, just like they have been for my family the last couple of years. Right now, it's $25 off an annual maintenance. Bold City will thoroughly service, clean, and test your system to ensure it is working efficiently. Then you'll be comfortable this summer, all summer. After the $25 off, it's just $70. Book your maintenance service now and save. Save now, beat the heat. Visit boldcityac.com or call 904-379-1648 to schedule. Mirza and his staff are ready to take care of you and your family. Be bold and beat the heat and make it a one-shirt day, even in the summer heat. Go to boldcityac.com.
This message is brought to you by Community First Credit Union.
Well, it's been a difficult few weeks, to say the least. But now, as we move towards reopening and getting back to work, let's not forget what we've experienced and what we've learned. That we are one city, one community, and staying safe is what matters now. So let's look out for each other, and we'll get through this to a better, brighter future in Jacksonville.
Federally insured by NCUA.
Call Zero Res. They are offering to clean and protect every surface in your home for 25% off. Also nominate a family in need, and Zero Res will clean the carpets in one home each day for absolutely free. Zero Res spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
I'm Thea Jeffers, owner of Breezy Jazz Club and T-Works Interior Decorating. It doesn't matter where you come from, it's possible to own your own business. But starting a business isn't easy. The Jacksonville Women's Business Center helped give me the confidence to keep going when the going got tough. At JWBC, I got the training, networking, and support I needed to help me reach my goals. To find out more about how JWBC can help you, visit jaxwbc.com.
If you're getting married, this is the hottest deal of the year, happening only at Beard's Diamonds.
No other jewelry store in North Florida can match it now through this Sunday.
Buy any ladies' wedding band and get the men's band free.
It's a buy one, get one free on wedding bands, but it's happening now through Sunday only.
Beard's has brought in an extra designer inventory just for this sale.
At the guaranteed lowest price.
Beard's Diamonds at the St. John's Town Center.
Or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Hope you catch the show Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. But if you can't catch it, or if you want to go back and listen again, check out the Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 podcast. Just search ESPN 690 in your podcast app.
This is Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Very important, as you can see, got the community behind us. Also, our mayor, the players, a couple of our coaches out here too. And it's a big thing, man. I'm glad to be a part of this. I'm glad I could be one of the first people to bring up one of the peaceful protests to the city.
That is Leonard Fournette, who helped organize this latest protest, which was 10 a.m. this morning at City Hall, hours after a Confederate statue in Hemming Plaza came down here in the city of Jacksonville. And the mayor simultaneously announced that more statues of its kind will come down here in the River City. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Coos on a Tuesday edition of Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. We've been talking about this on a bunch of different levels. The Jags' impact here in the community, but also athletes right now in our country and really all over the world and their platform. And we just talked about it being one of the most impactful generations ever, if not the most impactful generation of all time on and off the field. And this latest movement showing it. And I think kind of history will write that part of it. We'll see where we are in a couple of years or down the road and how much athletes continue to be a face of these demonstrations, protests, and obviously a mark for change as well. But I think we're seeing our sports leagues and sports teams change, and that will certainly leave an impact for a long, long time to come on the next generation as well. Leonard Fournette, to me, is a fascinating player in Jacksonville Jaguars history. He really is. He has been beloved. He has been maligned. He has a very good heart, you can tell, from how he interacts with kids and the underprivileged and what he does back home in his own community, his story, to what he has done here in Jacksonville and almost every stadium really across the league that he's ever played in, from giving cleats to autographs to pictures taken. He's very complex because off the field he's even had an issue here or there. On the field he's got the suspension and the punch.
Sure. And obviously in the locker room, too, he's considered a leader, but he's also a guy who likes to have some fun. Like you've seen the videos of him playing.
Absolutely. He likes to have fun. I think he's one of the funniest guys that have come around here, really, because he'll call anybody out. But he also, depending on who you talk to, that him in the locker room is not always a great thing. Some people's perspective is on that.
Sure.
So that's what I mean by such a complex player here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. This was a good moment for him today. What's your take on Fournette? I'll give you one more thing. What's interesting to me about Fournette?
Yep.
I think a couple times today he said, "I love Duval," right? It's like he is embedded in this town, in this city with the Jags fan base. He likes being one of the faces of this franchise, despite some of the ups and downs, despite some of the struggles of this organization. He's been outspoken about some of the struggles of the organization. Yet it just doesn't feel, maybe because they thought about trading him away in the offseason, they haven't picked up an option, and they're not, that he's not really part of it long term. So that's where all of this is kind of complex. You're almost hesitant to label him being a leader of any kind because he's not going to be here, or it doesn't feel like he's going to be here beyond 2020.
How do I feel about Leonard Fournette, man? That's an interesting question because, like you said, man, he's a very dynamic person. And how I feel about Leonard Fournette, I would say he's probably one of my favorite right now on that team, probably one of my favorite guys on the team because he's not perfect, okay? He's had some instances where he probably didn't do the right thing, right? We think back to the time he punched a dude in Buffalo. We think back to the time in Houston when he sat on the bench and got called out. There was that whole arrest thing where, we had the choppers following him to the courthouse. I mean, it was a big deal. So Leonard Fournette is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But I respect it and I like it because he's learned and he's grown, right? To err is to human. Like, I think so many times, and even the current NFL locker room is like, these players put on the facade of who they think they should be, and they put on this facade of like, well, I have to be this perfect, upstanding citizen. I have to do everything by the book, and I can't be myself because I don't want to come across the wrong way. And to be fair, I did that, right? So it's almost like I like Leonard Fournette because I'm kind of living vicariously through Leonard Fournette because Leonard Fournette, like Gardner Minshew, they are living their truth. They are who they are, and they're not going to apologize to anybody because of that. So with that being said, I got nothing but respect for Leonard Fournette because I think overall, most importantly, he's got a good heart. But number two, he's comfortable in his own skin.
I think about if you ask fans if they like Leonard Fournette, I think somebody would say, yeah. And then football season happens, and I think so many of those same fans are critical of him on the field or sometimes, off the field, or you'll hear the media discuss him and be critical of him. I think you'll hear people inside the building sometimes be critical of him. And by the way, I don't mean to, I know this is coming on a day that he led a protest. These conversations that we're having right now about Leonard have taken place prior to the protest. I just think this adds another element to it. So, like, if you have been critical of Leonard before, if you do have these feelings about Fournette, you're not so sure about him, and those exist in this town, I think, from a fan base, I think even in the building, like I said, at times, I think this once again says, man, that guy's a good dude out there. He's trying to help. He's doing it the right way. You can listen to him. It comes from the heart. He's lived it before where he grew up. And we've shared his story about how he grew up, and it wasn't always easy. And I think he's tried to use his platform for the good on a lot of different levels, including this one today. So the word complex, like I put interesting, is he the most interesting Jags player of all time? I don't know if that's the right way to say it. I think he's one of the most complex, though, of all time. I think there's not a hate, by the way. It would be wrong to say there's a love-hate relationship between Leonard. I don't think that's it. I think there is a tug-of-war of emotions at times about Leonard. I got to be honest with you. The Leonard that I see, I think he's fantastic. Like, I think there's a lot of stuff that I like. I don't see some of the other side of it. Maybe I block my ears on it. I don't know. I've seen him do too many good things, and I also have been in the camp from a football side of things that believe he has been way more valuable to this franchise than a lot of people want to admit. I think people are turned off because they picked the running back in the top 5 and they blame Leonard Fournette for that. But I actually think he's been very impactful. I think if he has a good season here in 2020, you're going to go back and you're going to look at his 4 years in a Jags uniform and you're going to be like, wow, that's pretty damn good production. You know, I think people are hesitant to admit that right now. And we'll see what he does in 2020.
Yeah, I get what you're saying too, because I mean, let's be honest, and we've talked about it on the show before. I mean, there are some, I don't even call them rumors, but there are some speculations, let's just say, that, yeah, maybe some teammates in the locker room aren't the biggest Leonard Fournette fans. Maybe there's people in that stadium that think that Leonard Fournette isn't a good person in that locker room, okay?
So much so that they shop them around.
Of course. Now, so be it, and that's fine. And I get it, man. In this business, you know, in this sports media business, and trust me, I'm still new to the game and everything, but I'm starting to see firsthand there's a lot of hearsay, okay? Well, I can't work with hearsay. All I can work off of is what my eyes and what my ears tell me, okay? And when I watch Leonard Fournette play on the football field, he's never once gave me a reason to say he's not a good teammate. Now, yes, he punched a guy in Buffalo. But do you think after that game, his teammates were like, I can't believe you punched somebody on a football field in terms of all the emotion, all the physicality. I can't believe you would do that. Coming from somebody who's probably been in the most fights in Jaguars history, I don't care. You know, like on the practice field, that doesn't bother me at all. Yes, he's been emotional sometimes when he doesn't get the ball in the goal line, you know, and he storms off the field and he's upset. He's visibly upset. Maybe throws his helmet. Once again, that's football. There's going to be emotion. There's going to be a time when you get upset because you're not getting the ball. I would rather have a running back that wants to get the ball every single time and be upset as opposed to a running back who's like, all right, go and throw the ball 25 times, 30 times a game. Don't give me the ball at all. That's fine. Like, to me, that shows that he's got the dog in him and that he wants the ball. I want guys like that. So as far as my eyes have told me, he's a good teammate. From what my ears have told me from talking to his teammates, I've never heard one example where he was a bad teammate. So maybe someone just hasn't told me anything, but I'm just saying from what I heard and what I've seen, I think he's a great teammate.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, because he had many players. Now, this isn't just for Leonard, but I think in a way you could say they supported Leonard today, and there were several players out there like DJ Chark, Chris Conley, Chris Thompson, Avery Jones, Tyler Davis, Keelan Cole, Raquel Armstead, Shaq Quarterman, Rodney Gunter, Ronnie Harrison, Miles Jack, plus some coaches, Joe Dana, Tim Walton, Ron Middleton, Terry Rubisky, Mark Collins. So, again, I think this this wasn't all about Leonard today.
Yeah.
Okay, he was just kind of a part of the protest, but I think that shows some support from the Jags organization as well. Do have a question about the protest that we got on social media that I do want to bring up in terms of its sincerity. That will be a little bit later on. Let's talk some sports when we come back. Jason Fisk scheduled to join us as well. Thanks for hanging with us on a Tuesday, ESPN 690.
Internal Revenue Service. When you owe a personal or business tax debt and can't pay, just hearing those 3 words brings feelings of fear and anxiety. I'm Jonathan David Suryash, Managing Tax Attorney at J. David Tax Law. Everyone knows that if you owe the IRS and don't pay, it's only a matter of time before tax liens, wage garnishments, or bank levies happen to you. The first step to resolution is our no-cost consultation. We take the time to go through your specific tax problem step by step. We explain exactly what your options are and how we will resolve your tax issue. J. David Tax Law is a local firm right here in Jacksonville, where only an experienced tax attorney will represent you. Our fee payment plans are affordable for everyone. If you have tax problems, call us now for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777, or find us on the web at jdavidtaxlaw.com. That's jdavidtaxlaw.com. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away.
For the ones we trust to always be there. For the ones caring for others. For the ones who keep things going, no matter where they are. In extraordinary times, extraordinary people step up, like the ones standing guard and standing on the front lines, and the ones who are staying apart while still working together. With your efforts, we will get through this. We're grateful for all you do. Visit Grainger.com for resources that can help as you create your recovery plan. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There's no reason for senior citizens to face problems on their own. Elder Source's free helpline can connect you or your loved one with vital resources that offer increased independence and safety. Call 1-888-242-4464 today.
O'Reilly. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, pick up 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil for $28.95 and get a $10 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. You can even order at O'ReillyAuto.com and we'll deliver it curbside. Protect your engine from sludge and wear at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's time for some straight talk. Even though most live sports are on hold now, big wireless companies haven't stopped playing games. They're always trying to lock you into overpriced contracts. With Straight Talk Wireless, there are no contracts. It runs on America's best network, same as the big carriers, but you save up to 50%. $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G. You might miss sports, but don't play games, you'll lose. Straight Talk Wireless. No contracts, no compromise.
Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz. Judge Judy is set to end after the show's 25th season, but that doesn't mean Judge Judy is going away. The Mega Millionaire syndication queen will begin production on a new show called Judy Justice.
Oh, you know who made the decision? Viacom. They're clearing her off the books to make room for Romo.
It's a good guess. Cap space. You want more from the Dan Le Batard Show? Check out the podcast, wherever you get your podcast.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
As time going, we're going to talk more and more about it, but you see, you got to start with the little steps in order to take the big steps. So right now, he's taking all those down. That's a wonderful start. You got to keep going. I want people to open up their ears and their heart and just listen and understand right now. It's all about listening and understanding.
That's Leonard Fournette this morning here in Jacksonville. A peaceful protest he organized. Lil Duval was there, a bunch of teammates and coaches, and, several hundred citizens here in Jacksonville there for the march, along with the mayor, Lenny Curry. And that is on the heels of really the first organized team protest that we've seen across all sports that happened on Friday. That was initiated by the Jacksonville Jaguars players and coaches. And that had a few hundred folks from team headquarters to the steps of Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. And I know it's something that Jason Fitz acknowledged during that time frame. And guess who joins us right now from ESPN? Jason Fitz here on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690, along with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane. Fitz, how you doing, man? Hope things are going well.
Yeah, man, everything's good. All things considered, you know, this has been a strange year and trying times over the last week and a half. And, you know, you guys know I've been trying to have open, real, honest conversations on First Take Your Take. And I feel like over the last week I've grown and people that listen have grown, and I'm really proud of what we've been doing. Aside from what we usually do in escapism, we've tried to challenge people to think and talk more outside of their comfort zone, and I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. You guys have been doing an excellent job with it, keeping the dialogue, the discussion open. I think, it'll be one of the most memorable 10-day stretches of my career so far, which now runs 2 decades. So I agree with you on that front. Let me ask you from a national point of view. I like to ask you these things, and it usually pertains to sports and usually football around the Jaguars, like what's the pulse. But how loudly heard were the Jaguars demonstrations and protests from where you sit. Do you think anybody noticed what the Jaguars did? Do you think we'll see more of it from organizations, not just in the NFL, but across sports?
Well, I don't think it was acknowledged as much as it should have been or could have been. And I think you make a fair point. Look, it's no secret there are certain teams that dominate national conversation because, frankly, they dominate national ratings. So, let's be fair. If the same statement had been made by the Broncos as an organization or the Cowboys or the Patriots, I think it would have been a louder roar in reaction to it. And that's not really fair to what the Jags did and what the Jags are doing. Do I think we'll see more of it? Heck yes. I don't think just yes. I think heck yes. And that comes back to what, when Roger Goodell came out Friday afternoon and spoke about the NFL, being wrong, what he did in my mind is drew a new line in the sand of expectation that's going to allow more teams to feel free to have these tough conversations and to be real and show some of themselves. And I think it's part of, if you're an NFL fan and you don't want to hear these things, just buckle up, embrace it, and get ready for it, because NFL players, I think, have been given more leniency than ever to have their own takes, their own personality, and their own views reflected, which I think is great for the league, frankly. And, it's going to make some NFL stick-to-sports fans really uncomfortable. But I don't think the NFL can walk back now that they've made their statement.
Absolutely. Jason Fitz with us. First Take, Your Take, 1 to 3 daily on ESPN 690 here in the Jacksonville area, and he joins us on Tuesdays. We just had a discussion, Jason, in the first hour of the show, and I brought up, I was watching the protest here in Jacksonville today with Leonard Fournette kind of leading the way, and I've often said, in the last few years, we might be watching the greatest generation of athlete on the field. Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, LeBron James. I mean, if you take our sports and you take our athletes from an individual basis, it might be the greatest generation. I always thought like the 40s and 50s with Ted Williams and Joe DiMaggio and Bob Gibson and all those greats. I always said, man, I think that's it. But I'm not so sure anymore. You couple that with their voice, their impact, and now on and off the field. Wow, man. I mean, we have to be looking at the most impactful generation of all time, even though if you go back to the 40s, Ted Williams was a war hero. And Muhammad Ali, we know what he did outside the boxing ring. But this generation of athletes just feels a little bit different and more impactful.
Well, I think you can credit the NBA for a lot of it, frankly, not just from an athleticism standpoint, but even bigger. I think at some level you look at the voice. And we always hear them talk about NFL players when it comes to contracts, and they look at the NBA so jealous about full guarantees and so on and so forth. Well, I think the entire sports world has been taking note of the voice that the NBA is free to use. And that's why we're seeing a different level of empowerment and understanding of the power a voice can have for an athlete. And we've seen it seep into other sports. We've seen it seep into the NFL now. You mentioned the team protest for the Jags. And frankly, I think it even plays into college football where, we're seeing athletes come out and speak out against coaches, which is something that 2 or 3 years ago, I don't know that people felt empowered to do. Once this generation of athletes figured out that their voice can have power, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to lose any brand opportunity they have with marketing, I think it becomes it becomes sort of the Voltron, if you will, that brings everybody together and allows us to be even more impactful on and off the field, which will be part of the legacy of what this time in sports is about.
Jason, man, first of all, can you turn the mic on? We got the mic on here. Sorry about that. All right, we're all good. But hey, Jason, man.
Hey, yeah. We're ESPN 690, Jason, just trying to make it.
We're just trying to make it, man. That's always been our calling card. Always will be our calling card. But first of all, man, I just want to thank you because you did mention the Jacksonville Jaguars protest. And I get sometimes I have my blinders on here in Jacksonville, and obviously I cover the team, so I'm very passionate about it. But really being the first professional sports team to try to organize a protest, not only as players, but coaches and really an entire staff, I just want to thank you for sharing it, man, because I think sometimes, in the media world, especially like the bigger companies, I'm not trying to call anybody out here, but I think sometimes everyone's down to make a difference, but they have to make sure that they move the needle when they do make the difference, okay? And I understand that the Jacksonville Jaguars don't really move that needle, but thank you for just sharing the story, obviously, and talking about it, because I think it made a big difference. So thank you on behalf of me and probably the entire show here. With that being said, though, we're talking about the NFL, and we're talking about Roger Goodell obviously having some really, in my opinion, some shocking comments, right? All of a sudden now he's really taking the player's side. He listened, and now he's kind of like this ambassador for NFL players, something that he probably should have been since day one. But my question to you is, and he's been very adamant about saying that he's going to support the right to protest. And we've had guys like Adrian Peterson come out and said that there will be kneeling, for the national anthem. All this gets brought up, and we think back to Colin Kaepernick, right? Every time we see a player take a knee on the field, we think of Colin Kaepernick. How does the NFL go about, maybe extending the olive branch, if you will, and just, I guess just, with Colin Kaepernick, how do they go about, changing the narrative, changing the conversation? Because let's be honest right now, whether you're an NFL player in a locker room or whether you're a fan of Colin Kaepernick, you still feel like you got blackballed. Is there any way the NFL can kind of change that narrative a little bit?
I think the NFL is going to have to change the narrative behind closed doors first. And that's a really great question, by the way, because I think we're looking so publicly at what the NFL does, but I think a lot of it comes from what they tell all the teams today and right now and what they're telling players behind closed doors about the level of support they're going to give. Because there has to be some – if Colin Kaepernick, for example, were to get another opportunity in the NFL, a team that takes that signing would have to know that the NFL is going to back them, that the NFL is going to help them with some of the PR nightmare that will come from it. I mean, nightmare not – in the sense of the tone, but in the amount of requests they're going to get, and I think they're going to have to look at a lot of these different elements and know that the league will stand side by side with them in support of them. And the players are going to have to know that everybody's got everybody's back in making sure that we can, give opportunity without letting the magnifying glass sort of limit anything. And that's where it's going to have to come. The trust is going to have to be earned behind closed doors for everybody, from owners to players on it, and then we'll see it. I don't know that the league can say or do anything right now or just suddenly present Colin Kaepernick with a fair opportunity to make a team and have anybody really feel like it makes a difference unless they've built a better infrastructure behind closed doors. And to your point, Austin, I think an important point is that the minute that Goodell came out and said what he said, I think he really threw the NFL on the sword a little bit, and that changes. Right now, if you're a player, you got eyes open and you're saying, man, maybe Roger's on our side. And there have been reports for a long time that Roger Goodell was more open to this than people understand. It's the owners that weren't on their side. Now it's like, well, maybe Roger got through to the owners. So there's a real opportunity for a bond to come between players and owners that we don't usually see in the NFL. I think that's the biggest gain from all of this for them.
I agree. I think for the first time, in those locker rooms, the players feel like the shield actually has their back. So it'll be interesting to keep a part of and see how it transpires from here. You mentioned how do you go about the whole Kaepernick situation, and kind of an idea that I brought up yesterday on the show. And I kind of want to get your thoughts about it. Now we'll wait and see if Kaepernick plays again. But if he doesn't, do you think it would be smart for the NFL to try to extend the olive branch in a form of, let's call it an NFL Racial Awareness Month, right? We have Military Appreciation Month. We have Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Why not have a racial awareness month and to spearhead it, bring on Colin Kaepernick on board, make him the ambassador, make him the face of it, because number one, now Colin Kaepernick not only has the Nike resources, but he has the NFL resources as well. Could you see that happening? And is that a good idea?
Yes. And I think it's a spectacular idea. And you talk about cancer awareness, and it's funny because how many people, even when you play Madden, if you're playing Madden, when you get to October, your team starts wearing pink. It's become so ingrained in our minds. And think of the difference that it's made, not just in the money made, but in the conversations that it's, at least created and the awareness it creates for NFL fans. If they put that same power, and I was lucky enough to play the national anthem for the Raiders before the Armed Forces Appreciation Day that they have in November. And, I'll never forget, they gave me all this gear that was Raiders stuff that was in camo, and they took that time and acknowledged the armed forces before the game, and it was powerful. It's powerful every year when they do that. If they did that same thing and went in and said, hey, we're going to take this month of the season and we're going to impart in people's minds the importance of social justice and equal treatment for everybody, that's a win for absolutely everybody involved. And for Colin Kaepernick to be an ambassador for it, I think would also be a win, because I don't think it's just Colin Kaepernick, but I think Colin Kaepernick heading up a group of players, like a committee essentially, that's going to come in and really address these. Every player, as you well know, Austin, every team has a player union rep in the locker room. Well, where's the same person that can be that for social issues and for really speaking for the players? Where's your social issues rep that can come in and say, hey, this is important to our guys and we want to make sure it's represented, and let Colin Kaepernick be the head of all of that from an internal level for the NFL, so that it's the league speaking together and players all over the league.
They're fantastic discussions to continue. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 with Jason Fitz. First Take, Your Take, 1 to 3, right here on ESPN 690 in the Jacksonville area, Monday through Friday. Let me ask you one more from a football on-the-field perspective. We know the NBA is getting back to action in late July. I was thinking of this last 24 hours after these protocols that came out from the NFL, that latest memo. How important is it for the NFL to maybe see Major League Baseball in action in the month of July so they have something to go off that might be a little bit like what they could do in the fall? Because the bubble in Orlando is not like anything the NFL is going to do in the fall at home stadiums.
You're totally right, and that's a great point, and I think that's why, commissioners across the sports landscape are looking at each other, and everybody it's like you're about to go into the quicksand, so you're trying to make somebody else walk in first. Absolutely. The NFL needs as much proof of concept as they can get from every single league as they look across and figure out, the more testing you have, the more situations you have, the more realistic solutions you can have for your own personal league. So I think it's massive, to your point, Brent. Absolutely huge for the NFL to try and help the Major League Baseball guys figure these things out, because whatever they can do to help that dialogue will help them on the field in the end.
Jason Fitz, always love having you on, man. Thanks a lot for joining us, and keep up the good work.
Hey, let me say one more thing, guys. You guys have mentioned it. The city of Jacksonville should be damn proud of who the Jaguars have been over the last week, who they've been as an organization, because this is an organization that hasn't always had the best publicity for whatever reason, for the way they've been running, for some of the people that have worked for the organization. This is a moment where Jags fans can support an organization that's doing it the way they believe in by supporting them with their money, their time, and their social media support, because it is worthwhile being a Jags fan today. You should be proud of that team.
Well said, and Jason, I think Jags fans appreciate it. No doubt about it. We'll talk to you again next week.
Talk to you guys. Thanks.
Later, That's Jason Fitz. First Take, Your Take, 1 to 3 on ESPN radio and right here in Jacksonville on ESPN 690. And I appreciate Jason Fitz saying that. We've had these discussions. I don't have as much of the, for lack of a better term, complex about the national guys not covering the Jags or not giving the attention to the Jags or whatever you want to call it. Okay. But I understand the going to the commercial during the draft and that stuff, right? We've kind of had fun with that in the past.
Sure.
But I also don't sit here and say that, like, you're wrong. I mean, it's true. The Jags don't get a lot of coverage. And when they do, it's 10 seconds here. And quite frankly, on the football field, I'm not sure how much they've earned at times. When in 2017, the Jags got a lot of national love, especially on NFL Network. I remember watching a lot, but ESPN too. I mean, they had this star-studded defense. People were talking about him. Calais Campbell was having a fantastic year. Bortles, for a little bit there, wasn't as much the joke, although at times he was the butt of the joke still, and I think that rubbed people the wrong way. Even as they're winning, he was still kind of the butt of jokes.
But then how many prime times did you get in 2018?
And then not a lot on the return, right? So, even after you proved it, you didn't get a lot, which almost thankfully, because I wouldn't have wanted to watch some of those games. But yeah. I understand your point. So, again, I'm not saying Jag fan doesn't have a point in the discussion. I'm just saying it has never really bothered me as much as it bothers Jags fan.
Sure.
And that's okay that it does. I'm just being honest where I stand on it. I will say, to Jason's point, I'm glad he recognized this. This is bigger than football. Mm-hmm. This is something that is being covered all across the country, not just on sports channels. What the Jaguars did, having the only minority owner in the NFL, and Shad Khan, the first minority owner in the NFL, and what he said, and then what it turned into like 48 hours later, organization-wise, in a peaceful way, in a constructive way, with the powerful words of Chris Conley, man, that should have been recognized, and it should have been acknowledged. And by some it did, guys like Jason Fitz. And I think we had mentioned yesterday, somebody told me that some other folks did mention it that we just may have not seen, like Le Batard and others. But it really wasn't all over the place like you thought it might be. And this is a movement where I don't think you have to have Patrick Mahomes in front of it. This was an organization that has a minority owner in Jacksonville, which has a history of divisiveness when it comes to race. And look what they're doing. look what Jacksonville's doing. It should be used as an example and at least an acknowledgement, and it wasn't. So I understand a little bit of it around here. So I appreciate what Jason said. I think a lot of fans really appreciate what Jason said. And I think the Jags organization probably is just as much frustrated. They're not going to come out and say anything, but I bet they get frustrated as well. And I don't think that's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to be acknowledged for something this powerful, this strong, and kind of what we have said, that it's bigger than football right now, and the Jags are kind of leading the way.
Listen, if I find one of the higher-ups and go ahead and just send my fine to my mailbox and put it on my tab because I'm going to say what I'm going to say, all right? And, Brent, you know how I feel about the Jaguars getting disrespected. Now, it's one thing, obviously, when it happens during a draft, right? And yeah, to be fair, it made me a little upset. Now, I can mark it and no one really cares who the Jaguars draft. Fine, whatever. Like, I'll concede to that. I'm still going to be upset because I think every team should have their fair share. I think every team should get their share of the pie and get to celebrate who they draft, but whatever. Okay, so put the draft behind it. But when you have the first professional team ever stage a protest, okay, ever in the history of sports, stage a protest, and it's the players, it's the coaches, it's the whole staff members in that building. When they all come together and they march for racial injustice, to me, that's a big story. Okay? And like I thanked Jason before we had him on. I thanked him because I shouldn't have to thank Jason Fitz for talking about it. Okay? Everyone should be talking about it. And I'm not trying to hate on ESPN. I'm not trying to hate on anybody on the bigger ups, because who am I, right? I'm still getting started in the sports media game. I still have a long ways to go. I still have a lot to learn. I understand that. But I think ESPN, they do a great job of using their platform to spark change, right? I mean, I've seen Stephen A. Smith. I've seen Maria Taylor. I've seen a bunch of the analysts kind of share their thoughts a little bit, and they've been super eloquent, and they've been very inspirational. But then you share their thoughts, but then you don't share the thoughts of the people that you're supposed to be covering. Okay? It's cool when you have Uncle Rico and Gardner Minshew hanging out during the NFL season, but then you can't show Chris Conley's speech, because you know why? I would show my son Chris Conley's speech. I would show anybody Chris Conley's speech, regardless if he's a Jacksonville Jaguar or not. I'm taking off my Jaguars glasses right now. His speech was that good, and it deserves the attention. It deserves to be heard. And the fact that ESPN and even CNN and Fox News, they didn't share it because why? It's the Jacksonville Jaguars? I thought you guys were trying to help the movement, okay? So to me, you can't have it both ways. You can't try to help the movement and inspire people, but be worried about moving the needle, okay? Sure, if it's the Denver Broncos, if it's the Green Bay Packers, if it's the New England Patriots, yeah, I'm sure that's going to move the needle. But if you're really concerned about, well, we can't show this Jaguars because how many people really care about that, it's bigger than football right now, man, okay? It's bigger than sports. And when you have professional athletes, help with this protest and give eloquent speeches, they deserve to be heard. So as far as I'm concerned, if you preach that you're trying to make a difference, if you preach that you're trying to be the outlet where professional athletes can kind of voice their concerns, but then you don't show them because they don't play on a high-market team, in my opinion, then you're just a poser.
Well, I will say this. I don't think it's necessarily the networks or all the networks' job from media to help the movement, so to speak. I think I'd be a little careful. It's to document the movement.
But Brent, I agree with you. Okay.
I would just say it's a little. They don't have to help the movement. Yes, they employ people that talk about the movement as well, but they're not telling them what to say.
Correct.
So,
but when I see your analysts giving passionate speeches about making change, about protesting and everything, well, that to me then that means you're helping the movement.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it's called documenting the movement. You're using your platform to share whatever is being said. See, I think if you're helping the movement, you're taking. You whatever you're doing, you're maybe becoming outside of journalism,
sure.
To a degree. I think you document it, you share it, it becomes discussions. That's what I say about, some people may have said, hey, that speech by Chris Conley wasn't as great as you all say it was. Well, it sparks conversation at the very least, right? I thought it was great. It sparks conversation. And so I think I also believe, and again, I think we talk ESPN so much because ESPN is kind of everybody's go-to. But I don't know if this was all over NFL Network. I don't know if this was over even the news. It was big enough to be on the news channels, because it was the NFL. And by the way, it was on the heels of Drew Brees. So you have this Drew Brees dynamic. It played perfect sense to say, well, look at what this NFL team is doing. So I understand it. Listen, I don't put too much into that. I just think in this, what I'm a little, I don't know about worried is the word. If we look back on this conversation 5 years from now, right? Again, I think our job in journalism at times is to document what's going on. I think at this time, through the pandemic and through this latest movement and what's going on in our country, our job is to document, to have discussions, to have conversations. My job is not to persuade anybody. My job is to have conversations. Well, as we document this, from a national perspective, part of the story coming off the death of George Floyd and the protests that happened around the country for a week long, and part of the story will be the Drew Brees 72 hours. Part of the story will be NFL players uniting on social media. I think those will get told. Part of the story will be NFL commissioner. I think that will be told. What I'm a little afraid of, what should be part of the story and told by the Peter Kings of the world or anybody else of the world, is the fact that the Jaguars have a minority owner who came out and said what he said, and not just in a statement form, but in a letter form, and also what the Jaguars did on Friday and maybe even today, and led the way. That should be part of the documentation of what's going on. That's where it kind of bothers me more than anything else, because I think it warranted it. It should be part of the storytelling of what took place last week with sports interacting with society. I don't think that was just a Jacksonville thing. This is a guy saying that doesn't really have a complex about not getting national attention, for what they do on the football field. But it's definitely interesting to see where it takes place. Since we're on this topic, okay, let's briefly go here. We got a tweet earlier, and it says, "My dudes, I'm glad that these guys were able to leverage their platform, but them and Curry just left out of nowhere as one of the 100s of people there. It felt like a publicity stunt and not a constructive conversation." You know where I fall on this. Was there good done today? Was there good done for a movement? Was there attention brought to a movement? Were there more conversations that took place? Was there dialogue that took place? Is this continuing to happen? And did Leonard Fournette lead the charge? Was Lenny Curry there? Did you have this mix of politician, police, athlete, which I would also call citizens, not athlete in this moment, but high profile at the very least? Even Lil Duval was there as well. Where I fall on this stuff is you can give me the motivation of why it happened. You can say, well, it looked a little bit like a publicity, whatever. I don't care. I really don't care. I think if it provides good, it provides discussion, and in this important time, discussion is important. I don't need the motivation. I really don't care about the motivation. So that's the way I would answer it. Now, you have been there, and you've been at a couple of these protests, and I think you can take us inside kind of those thoughts a little bit more, because you've heard these thoughts about this. Why do people bring this part up, and do they have any validity to it?
So first of all, let me start up by saying that I do agree with you. I think that you either have a choice to do good or bad every single day, and today the Jacksonville Jaguars did good, okay? I think that it should be celebrated, and I think that it's another step towards progress, okay? And at the end of the day, that's what you want. We get so caught up as a society of questioning intentions and questioning people's beliefs and everything like that of why they're doing something. I'm just happy there's good going on, okay? We don't have the luxury right now, I feel like, or people don't have the luxury right now to question, what are your motives? Are you out here for the right reasons? No, man, we need everybody, okay? It's a team effort here. So with that being said, though, I'm not naive to the fact that I can see where people like the person that just texted you are coming from, okay? Because I've been at some of these protests, and I've heard some of the speakers, and I heard a certain speaker voice frustration from when the Jaguars had their first march, because essentially what was happening was it was organized and they were marching with the police. If you go to a Black Lives Matter protest this Saturday or Sunday, they don't march with the police because, for lack of a better word, the police aren't welcome there, okay? I think it could be kind of ugly, to be fair, if the police were involved. I'm just saying that's where people's emotions, people's anger are at right now, okay? Like, I get we use the word peaceful protest, but there's still a lot of angry people out there, a lot of emotional people. So I think when someone like that voices their concern and they say it was a publicity stunt, I get where they're coming from, because every single weekend you got kids of all ages. You got you got men, women of all ages, of race, ethnicities, beliefs out there expelling their energy and speaking their piece, okay? And it's exhausting. It's frustrating sometimes, and it's an environment, it's just a whirlwind of emotions, okay? So for some of those people, when they see the Jaguars do their thing, right, and they say they're going to organize this protest, and then you see them in the streets, and you're out there with them, and you're cheering, and you're protesting, and you're using your voice, and you have your signs, and maybe you have your families, and you're expelling all this energy. That's great. But then all of a sudden, when those Jaguars players leave, and Lenny Curry leaves, well, then you're kind of back to square one, you feel like, right? You're back to where you started from. It's like, well, we made a change, but now it's just us again, right? And I think right now there's a lot of people out there that are having this just us mentality, that it's us against the world mentality. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's the way it is right now. So once again, I don't agree with the comments of saying that the Jaguars did this for publicity. I don't think it's any farther from the truth. But I can see when people like that text you, I can see exactly where they're coming from.
Yeah, and it was a tweet, by the way.
A tweet.
In.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying it wasn't like a personal text from somebody. It was just a tweet out there, and we were talking in the break about it, so I thought we could bring it up. I would say this: it's a little. Now, listen, you're talking. This is from the 43-year-old white man perspective. Mm-hmm. I believe the fact that the Jaguars have marched with the police. And with this morning, when Lenny Curry was there, those are people that can make change. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, that shows a sign of unity and community more so than divisiveness. And I understand there's angst as well. That doesn't mean you're not arguing against, or there were signs, Miles Jack held a sign that would hint toward, the march against police brutality. I don't think that means that's an empty protest, an empty march. I like the sign of unity and community. I like what the sheriff up in Michigan did last weekend and marched with people. Now, that wasn't with a team or athletes. That was with people. Said, hey, I'll march with you. Yeah. I like that. I understand that's not everywhere. I understand there's a big movement here, and not everybody feels the same. But I like that part of it. I like this because I think the more you can have some unity and community, the more you can have change quicker. Yeah. So I think these are genuine. What can we do? Mm-hmm. How can we help? And I will say this. On Action News Jack's Facebook, that Friday protest right now is up to like 220,000 views. Sure. The one this morning with Leonard Fournette was over like 60,000 views, and that was soon after. Mm-hmm. If it gives people a voice, if it draws attention, I understand you'd love them to be out there with you for 10 hours all day, but it's doing something. No, it's making some change.
It's definitely doing something. It's definitely making a change. And once again, these aren't my opinions right here, but this is what I've seen. This is what I've heard, right?
Well, that's what I wanted, some of that perspective.
But and another side of it too, we have to remember, okay? When I'm at these protests and I hear these people speak and I see their passion, a lot of that passion is geared towards the frustration of the mayor of Jacksonville, Mr. Curry, okay? Lenny Curry. And today you saw Lenny Curry kind of march with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the police department. And I'll be honest with you, once again, not saying it's right. I'm just telling you this is where it's coming from. I think some people with the Black Lives Matter movement were kind of maybe taken back a little bit to see the Jaguars embrace Mr. Curry that much. Not saying it's right. I'm just saying this is the conversations I've been having with some of the protesters.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah. And some probably look at it as a step and a credit to the mayor to get out there and now let's see if they act.
Exactly.
On change,
I mean,
right?
There's definitely both sides to it. There's both sides to every single political discussion.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying that's one side of it.
Yeah, we continue to have those discussions. We come back. Let's talk more sports. I brought something up with Jason Fitz. Major League Baseball might need to get going for the NFL's sake. What do I mean by it? Next on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Very warm and humid today, a mix of clouds and sun with scattered showers and storms. Highs around 90, dropping into the low 70s tonight. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 at Fox 30 Action News Jax from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds. Buy one, get one wedding band sale through this Sunday at Beards Diamonds.
Alexa, how do I drive more customers into my business?
First, people will need to hear about you.
Okay.
Then you need to be online where they look for you.
Online, huh?
Then you need to be involved in the community. Then you need to...
Whoa. I don't have time for all that. I need to run my business. Alexa, can you help me find someone that can help me with online marketing?
Okay, searching for a local team that can help.
Local Solutions, your local marketing team putting you at the top of mind. Visit JacksonvilleLocalSolutions.com today and let us take your business to the next level so you can get back to running it. Local Solutions, powered by Cox Media Group. Marketing solved.
Everyone's loving what Diamonds Direct is doing right now. It's the best stimulus plan ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing on any purchase with no money down. It's Diamonds Direct's way of helping you make your money go further as we all look forward to better days. Just pick any item in Diamonds Direct showcases. Get the amazing value price you know we're known for. Make no down payment and spread your payments over 5 years without paying a dime in interest. That means a $6,000 designer ring is yours for just $100 a month. This makes everything more affordable at a time when we need it most. Rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, bands, colored gemstones, designer fashion jewelry. Take the price, divide by 60, and that's your payment. You can even finance the sales tax. Celebrate summer, celebrate life, celebrate love with Diamonds Direct's most spectacular offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest with nothing down. Now for a limited time on approved credit. Diamonds Direct.
Off Town Center Parkway.
There are about 38,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases in Florida, and it's not just COVID-19 patients that are losing their lives, it's medical professionals as well. Each and every one of us has an opportunity to help our community, and that's through honorandthank.com. It's a platform that lets anyone express their gratitude to the healthcare heroes risking their lives to save others. They're suffering from severe depression and anxiety and really need our support. Say thank you now to healthcare workers in our community. Visit honorandthank.com.
Say hello to your new secret advertising weapon, your own branded mobile phone number. Star Mobile provisions vanity mobile numbers prefixed by **, providing audiences an easy way to reach your business. Give it a try now by dialing ** mobile from your mobile phone. That's ** mobile.
With COVID-19, even more local families need food, and kids could use something to smile about. Give a gift in any amount to Jewish Family and Community Services, and it will automatically double. Jewish Family and Community Services, here for hunger, here for Jax.
Diamonds Direct celebrates the reopening of our local economy with our most amazing offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing with no money down on anything and everything. Yes! Now, for a limited time, Diamonds Direct is doing our part to help you get back to normal and celebrate your love like never before. Our prices and values are the best ever. Our showcases are fully stocked, and we're letting you buy now with nothing down, and you can spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Been putting off that engagement? Get her a $6,000 designer ring now and pay just $100 a month. Did you miss celebrating that anniversary? How about a $3,000 Diamond Eternity band for just $50 a month? Summer is the season for love, and we're doing all we can to make this summer one to remember with exceptional values, extra selection, and the most exceptional finance opportunity. 5 years, 0 interest on approved credit. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Off Town Center Parkway.
After a long day, having my dogs meet me at the door with their silly smiles and wagging tails makes me happy. I want to keep that joy with me for years to come. That's why I trust Forever Vets Animal Hospital to keep my pets healthy. Forever Vets was voted 2019's Best Vet in Jacksonville Magazine's Readers Poll, and it's easy to see why. The affordable wellness plans are tailored to meet all of your pets' changing needs as they grow. Open 7 days a week, Forever Vets' friendly staff is available to treat you and your pet with care. They combine extended hours with online booking to allow you to give your pet quality care while accommodating your schedule. Go online to forevervets.com to find which of their 8 offices is is nearest you. And don't forget the newest location in Riverside, Forever Vets Animal Hospital, keeping your pets happy and healthy forever.
Now more than ever, you need the open road. Windows down, wind in your hair, pure freedom. Then go see our friends over at Arlington Toyota, because their massive construction sale was made to put you behind the wheel today. Think you can't afford a new ride? Think again. At Arlington, you choose 0 down with low payments or no payments until 2021. Get into Arlington today, where you can drive away in a new Toyota Corolla for $199 a month with 0 down or no payments till 2021. That's a pre-owned Corolla for $199 down with 0 down or no payments until 2021. How about a Toyota Camry for $249 a month with 0 down or no payments till 2021? That's a pre-owned Camry for $249 a month with nothing down or no payments till 2021. Plus, with Arlington's Credit for Everyone program, if your Beacon score is from 450 to 850, Arlington's getting almost everyone approved. And you get Arlington's 30-day exchange policy on any vehicle you purchase. As always, your safety is Arlington's priority. Go see them today, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit Arlington Toyota /June offers for full details.
The current coronavirus outbreak has caused difficulties for many of our area's small businesses. From losing customers to falling behind in payments, business owners need help. At SCORE, our highly trained counselors are here to help. In Jacksonville, SCORE provides services to almost 6,000 individuals annually. We are currently mentoring virtually and identifying possible financial assistance through the SBA and other resources. Visit jacksonville.score.org for links with more information.
At Action News Jax, we tell a weather story that's really built just for you. Most of us have lives that take us out in the elements, for work, for play, or just getting from point A to point B. And that means you need to be ready to get through your day.
I'm Action News Jax First Alert Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Our team of meteorologists didn't go to school just to read you temperatures. We do this so that the people that trust us know exactly what to expect today, tomorrow, and the next day.
Action News Jax First Alert Weather Team. We're here for severe.
Hey everybody, this is Brent Martineau. If you're usually listening to ESPN 690 in your car, we appreciate it. But your boss has you working from home this week, so take us with you. Your smart speaker brings ESPN 690 into your home office. Tell your Amazon Echo or Google Home to play ESPN 690.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anna Jar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Love that I have a child that thinks outside of the box and asks questions. As a black father, I'm hurt. My heart is hardened to know that I have to explain these critical issues to my son when most of you do not. But as an advocate for equality, I know that one day my son will have the ability to change the world if he's not shielded by what's going on in the world. This applies to your kid as well. So please, we must not shield, but educate our kids.
That is former Jags player Rashean Mathis. On YouTube, called Lend Me Your Ear, and it was about, I want to say 11 and a half minutes or so. I listened to it and watched it, and very strong words from Rashean Mathis. We've had him on the show before. Rashean, one of the all-time greats for the Jags, really one of the most underrated players, I think, in Jaguars history because of the nature that he's from here. Went to Inglewood, Bethune-Cookman, Jacksonville guy, and no surprise, super eloquent. Smart guy, well thought out, does not like the public spotlight.
No.
Really doesn't.
Well, and this was so surprising.
I know.
Yeah. Because, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, he's a tough guy. Like, we could ask Rashean to come on the show like 20 times, and maybe the 20th time he'll say yeah. Or he'll answer.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's but he's the nicest guy in the world, greatest guy in the world. But that's just when he does not seek the spotlight. I think it was very poignant. It was powerful as well from Rashean, and it was well said on so many levels, well thought out. You appreciate that about Rashean Mathis.
Yeah. So how it went down was last night. You sent the group text that video, and immediately when you sent it, I see Rashean's face. I'm like, what is Rashean Mathis? Because you have to keep in mind, okay, I spent 3 years playing with Rashean Mathis in Jacksonville, and I spent a little time with him in Detroit. And he's by far one of the best teammates I ever had. Not only for obviously a talent perspective. I mean, the guy's one of the best corners, if not the best corner to ever play in Jacksonville. Obviously, Jalen Ramsey in the conversation too. But Mathis had quite the career here in Jacksonville and did a really great job in Detroit as well. But the quality of guy that he was off the field as well. He's a very soft-spoken individual. He's a man of faith. Actually got me turned on to Christian rap music a little bit, where he had some songs in the locker room that he wanted me to hear. Not sure if that was kind of my cry for help. I was reaching out, and he kind of saw that, but he shared some Christian rap with me, and I respect it, man. But Rasheem was always the guy who was never going to give you that rah-rah speech, okay? He was never the guy that was really going to get, all hyped up and everything before a game. But he was the guy when he spoke, everyone shut their mouths and listened, because you knew when Rasheem Mathis spoke, it was something of great substance. There's some people like me who would just talk just to talk, right? And 99% is just fluff. Rasheem Mathis, when he speaks, everyone pays attention. So when you sent me that text message last night, Brent, I was like, oh, this is going to be crazy. Because he's not a guy that enjoys the spotlight. He's not a guy that's always on social media. But it goes to show you who he is as a person. He's evolved so much now, where it's like he understands. Listen, what's happening in the world right now? It's bigger than maybe what I believe about social media and my thoughts behind it. And I have to share something. I have to voice my concern, and I have to speak my truth. And I thought he did a great job in that video.
Yeah, it's go check it out. It's on YouTube. Rasheem Mathis, called "Lend Me Your Ear," and he was very well spoken in it. I'd say akin to Chris Conley and the JSO steps from last Friday. Powerful stuff from Rasheem Mathis. Maybe we get him on in the next few days or weeks. Talking a little bit more about it. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Coos here on a Tuesday. Let's talk some sports here for a moment. And I thought about this today. I was having a conversation about NFL and what it might look like in the fall. And even from us covering it, from people going to it, we've talked at length, right? Fans. I don't believe we'll be in the locker room to cover this football team. And I think that'll be across the board in the NFL. To me, I've said it before on the show. Is that a big deal? I don't think so. It's different. I don't know if you'll get the one-on-ones you hope, the stories, your unique stories. Everything might be more in group fashion. I think our industry will take offense to that a little bit, but it might just be the nature of the beast this time around because of the pandemic. Here's the thing. The NFL and teams are going to go out of their way to make sure players don't get the coronavirus, don't get sick, because they need them on Sundays. And all sports are like that.
Yeah.
So where I'm going with this is, we know the NBA is coming back, right? First team sport in the United States that's officially announced they're back is the NBA. Late July. That's a long time away. Well, late July is what? Right at the same time training camps are open. Late July is like 12 days from when the first preseason game is in the NFL. I got to thinking today, man, the NFL needs Major League Baseball back in early July in a bad way. Because the NBA, once again, is too late in the game for them to really get a good sample of what's going on and ask questions to Adam Silver and team owners. How's it going? And also, it's in Orlando. It's in a bubble. It's different. NFL is not like that. NFL's going to be at stadiums, at home stadiums, it looks like, at least right now. With or without fans, we're not sure. But that's kind of more like Major League Baseball is planning. Yes, Major League Baseball initially had said Arizona, Florida, places like that. But they're planning on being in their home facilities, with or without fans, most likely without fans. And I think some of the protocols that go into place, even for a 25 or 40-man roster, whatever it is for Major League Baseball, could be very good knowledge for Roger Goodell, for the owners, and the teams in the NFL moving forward. But they need some evidence.
Yeah.
They need to know, what are you doing? What kind of tests are you putting in place? Is this working? Is this not working? How much staff do you have in the organization that's around? Things like that. And if you watch this latest memo that went out around to the NFL, the thing you chuckled at yesterday, the 6 feet in the locker room?
Oh, yeah.
But there are extreme lengths the more you read in that memo, right? Extreme lengths of not allowing a lot of people around the players. Because
meetings outside possibly, too?
Meetings outside, virtual meetings. Yeah. Also, like 2 days in advance of disinfecting before games.
Yeah.
So everybody has to be out of the building 2 days in advance if you're having a home game, I think is what it said. So You can have a deep clean. I mean, the NFL is and that memo went to extreme lengths, like to the point where I don't think we'll be even going to games as the media. And I'm not saying that's an important part of this. I'm just giving you an idea of it. So, I mean, or potentially, I should say that could happen.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. So the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I read about it, the more and more today I talked about it a little bit with somebody. I said, wow, man, they need Major League Baseball more than Major League Baseball needs itself to play.
Yeah.
Because they want to get this litmus test, if you will, of, well, how did it work? Did this go well or did this not go well?
Two things. First of all, if we're not going to be in the press box, then Shad Khan, hit me up, please, and send those fried raviolis to my address, and I'll keep good track of them, okay? Because those things can't go to waste, and I'm sure Kuz can attest to that as he sits by me in the press box.
Yeah, they're good.
Oh, yeah. Confirmed good fried raviolis. But you're absolutely right here, Brent, okay? Because, yes, the UFC's back. Yes, NASCAR's back. Yes, there's motocross. Yes, there's golf. And yes, there's even soccer. But there's nothing to really gauge off of right now of how to go about things because they're all individual sports, set aside from soccer. But even soccer is different. Like, the NFL right now is literally just... They don't have any data in front of them, right? So every decision they make is kind of based off their own expertise. And usually when you make decisions, you go off experience, you go off of knowledge, and the NFL doesn't have that right now. So I completely agree with you. And this is where, baseball can step up and be like, well, first of all, baseball in its own outright should step up just because, let's be honest. I mean,
absolutely.
The team sports coming back, bring them back, let's go. But the NFL needs some data, okay? Because you can sit here and say we can do things this way, do things that way, but you don't know how it's going to pan out. Because I'll tell you what's panning out right now. We've seen Alabama where 5 or 6, 7 players have COVID-19.
UCF just had 3.
There you go. So
Gators have been clean so far, it looks like.
So you're seeing college teams come down with it, right? And I assume they're taking all the necessary precautions. So if you're the NFL, you need to try to get as much knowledge behind this subject as possible because obviously when the season starts, you can't afford to have 10, 15 guys on a team come down with COVID-19. It's not going to look good for optics, obviously, but it's not going to look good for the season as well.
But this is the lengths the protocol already went. We didn't talk about this bunch yesterday when the memo came out and it was reported that it came out. But players, coaches, trainers, and team personnel are to be separated into 3 tiers with access to various parts of team facilities limited to only the most essential employees. This includes having a separate entrance for tiered personnel or a dedicated time when entrance can be used if separate entrances aren't possible. So that ranges from building to building. But let's say players, coaches, trainers, and team personnel. So that's nobody on the outside. I mean, that could go from media to also the ability to sell something to a potential client.
Sure.
Like they're not coming in the building for that kind of stuff, I would assume, right? And even some members of team personnel, like if you're not in that bubble of tier system, then are you even allowed near the football team? It sounds like no. All players and club employees with access to restricted areas must undergo daily screening and testing prior to entering the facility. Daily.
So now let me ask you this question. So daily screening, so that's obviously the cotton swab up the nose every single day.
I think so. It does not specifically say what I'm reading here with the temperature, but it says the 5-part screening questionnaire includes asking players whether they've experienced vomiting or diarrhea in the previous 24 hours. So there's a questionnaire to fill out, and maybe that's it.
I assume it's going to be the temperature then, and then just the questionnaire. Yeah, because, I mean, dude, getting that thing up your nose every single day is pretty aggressive.
I know it.
Yeah.
I know it. Locker rooms must be reconfigured to the 6 feet, and some are, by the way, it says they have to try.
Yeah.
Attempt. Some locker rooms it benefits. We said the Jags, you could actually, if you had 53 players, let's just say.
Yeah.
Could you separate into, what's my quick math here, 13 players in each locker room? You could do that.
You could try, yeah.
The veteran guys must get the good locker room.
Oh, and believe me, yeah, absolutely.
Teams to hold virtual meetings whenever possible. Encouraged to move in-person meetings outdoors and have those attending wear masks.
How fun would that be?
That'd be great. It's 98 degrees.
Oh, that's a good point, though. Yeah, see,
outside.
Didn't think about that because I go back to my childhood in school when you had that cool hippie teacher, like the English teacher. Oh yeah, hey guys, let's go outside today for the lesson. What coolest teacher ever? Yeah, I guess in Jacksonville it's a little different than Wisconsin.
Workout groups are to be limited to 15 people or fewer. Players are encouraged to wear masks in the weight room. I guess that could happen. Similarly, trainers are scheduled to appointments with players rather than have an open time for tasks such as taping ankles. You brought that up yesterday.
Yep.
And new protocols will be in place for eating and cleaning, where a 2-week supply of some sanitizing material is required. So anyway, again, that's just the start. We're only in June. Wait until we get to actual camps. There are some people that indicate they don't think there'll be 90-man rosters. Again, these are all just...
Yeah. It's all in the airwaves. I hear you.
But is that possible? Too many players, right? How about traveling?
Yeah.
You know, again, I think media is really interesting here because I live in that world. Are we going to not cover a game? Like, are we not going to a game? I'll be honest with you. I have put my arms around the idea that we probably wouldn't be in locker rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I had not necessarily put my arms around the fact that I wouldn't be at a game because I actually thought they'd be shrunk down crowds this year. Yeah. That's my thinking. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, well, you can almost do what you do at a Super Bowl. You can use an auxiliary press. So you can be 6 to 8 feet apart in the press box and you run out of room. Well, then you can go sit in the stands because there's plenty of seats available.
Of course.
So that's what I'm thinking.
Sure.
I don't know, man. You read in between the lines of this, and you could get to the point where, no, we're just Zooming post-game pressers.
Well, Kuz, take note here. If we can't go to the press box for my 3 takeaways after the home games, we're going to the beach bars. And we're getting immediate reaction.
I love that.
Hey, by the way, they'll say, welcome back, Austin, to the beach bars.
Absolutely,
it's
man.
It's been a decade.
Where have you been? Mr. Wayne, your chair's right here waiting. Yeah.
No, I love this idea.
Where's your name on a chair?
Where's Wayne Gabbard? Haven't seen him, sorry.
He's backing up, Brady.
Every video ends with you taking a shot. And that shot depends on how the performance was. And
I like
then,
it.
You know, if it's a bad performance, it's just straight whiskey or,
Brent, I mean, best of luck to you and your endeavors, but me and Kuz were our 3 takeaway segment. We're just fine.
We may be a little late on Mondays.
It's going to be an upgrade.
Hey, before we hit the top, let me just give you, this is out of the Detroit Free Press, okay? Let me just see if this is from somebody in the Detroit Free Press. Yes, it is. Okay, so some of the questions asked here. Mm-hmm. Will the preseason be delayed or shortened to give players who've missed out on structured team workouts this spring a longer acclimation period? What does it do to the start of the season? What happens when a player or coach tests positive? We've all asked that, right?
Yep.
Worse yet, what happens if virus spreads through a locker room, leaves a team significantly shorthanded for 1 or more weeks? What testing protocols will the league put in place on game days? What if a player tests positive before kickoff? What if the player who tests positive does so before a road game? How does he get home? What happens to his teammates who traveled with him? What about fields? If there's a small chance the virus survives on indoor turf, how can the league ensure its surfaces are safe to play on? And they admit here in this article, some may seem far-fetched or even alarmist, but are they considering all these things?
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Is there like a media standby list for like the replacements in case players go down? Like, can the media step up a little bit?
Well, guess what? You're option number 1.
Well, let's go, man. Let's go. Tony Baselli talking to you too, dude. Let's go, man.
You might want to pad some of those stats. Career stats are going up for Austin Lane.
Hey, Ken, get my jacket ready. I'm coming for you. Let's go.
The rebirth. We'll be back on ESPN 690.
Oye, amigo, it is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
We've talked about this before. When a bank gives you $100,000 by mistake, do not go spend that money because you're going to get into a lot of trouble for it. But an Albuquerque teenager found $135,000 in cash next to an ATM. What would you do, Stugotz?
Finders keepers. The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
This message is brought to you by Community First Credit Union.
Well, it's been a difficult few weeks, to say the least. Jacksonville has seen tough times before, but nothing like this. Now, as we move towards reopening and getting back to work, let's not forget what we've experienced and what we've learned. And one thing we've learned is that there are no strangers in Jacksonville. We are one city, one community. And this pandemic has touched all of our lives, regardless of who we are. From Jack's Beach to Baldwin, from Fernandina to Fruit Cove, we've faced this thing together because that's how we do things in Jacksonville. All of us at Community First realize that staying safe is what matters now. So as we start to bring our city and our lives back to life as we know it, that means looking out for each other. So that's what we'll do. And we'll get through this to a better, brighter future in Jacksonville.
Federally insured by NCUA.
For the ones we trust to always be there. For the ones caring for others. For the ones who keep things going, no matter where they are. In extraordinary times, extraordinary people step up, like the ones standing guard and standing on the front lines, and the ones who are staying apart while still working together. With your efforts, we will get through this. We're grateful for all you do. Visit Grainger.com for resources that can help as you create your recovery plan. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This message is sponsored by the Florida A&M University Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Where I'm from, marijuana is legal. Can I use it in Florida? Nah, it's illegal here, man. But I have PTSD. Should I at least try to get medical marijuana? That's legal. But if I were you, I'd talk to my doctor about qualifying conditions and to find out if medical marijuana is even right for you. Thanks. I'll talk to my doctor.
It's sale time at your neighborhood Ace with cool gifts for Dad, like grills by Weber and Traeger or Big Green Eggs, and lots of items from Yeti. Ace Wild Bird Food in the 20-pound bag, 2 for $10. Air filters, various sizes, buy 2, get 1 free. Get liquid chlorine in the 1-gallon jug for just $2.99. Pool shock treatments in 1-pound bags, 3 for $10. Find more great deals in the location nearest you at acehardware.com. Sale ends June 22nd.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Alexa, how do I drive more customers into my business?
First, people will need to hear about you. Then you need to be online where they look for you. Then you need to be involved in the community. Then you need to...
Whoa. I don't have time for that. I need to run my business.
Okay, searching for a local team that can help.
Local Solutions, your local marketing team putting you at the top of mind. Visit JacksonvilleLocalSolutions.com today and let us take your business to the next level. Local Solutions, powered by Cox Media Group. Marketing solved.
Redbox has top entertainment when you need it most. If you're in the mood for a thriller, don't miss The Invisible Man, starring Elizabeth Moss. What you can't see can't hurt you. Make it a movie night and visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
Hi, I'm Stuart Weber of Action News Jax with Take Steps Plus Virtual, the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation's June 20th fundraiser supporting 3 million Americans. You can register at cctakesteps.org/Jacksonville 2020.
Everyone's loving what Diamonds Direct is doing right now. It's the best stimulus plan ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing on any purchase with no money down. It's Diamonds Direct's way of helping you make your money go further as we all look forward to better days. Just pick any item in Diamonds Direct showcases. Get the amazing value price you know we're known for. Make no down payment and spread your payments over 5 years without paying a dime in interest. That means a $6,000 designer ring is yours for just $100 a month. This makes everything more affordable at a time when we need it most. Rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, bands, colored gemstones, designer fashion jewelry. Take the price, divide by 60, and that's your payment. You can even finance the sales tax. Celebrate summer, celebrate life, celebrate love with Diamonds Direct's most spectacular offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest with nothing down. Now for a limited time on approved credit. Diamonds Direct.
Off Town Center Parkway.
If you don't have Safe Touch monitoring, there's a good chance your system is getting monitored from someone's home. Yes, work from home has come to the security industry, but not at Safe Touch Security. At Safe Touch, that is totally unacceptable and doesn't meet UL requirements. At Safe Touch Security, our monitoring center is committed to maintaining our high standards. The only guaranteed response in the alarm industry with an incredible 8-second average. And our two-way communicator provides the very fastest response from the emergency authorities for burglary, medical, and fire. And the Safe Touch crash and smash technology detects crime before it enters the property. Our halo of protection and Safe Touch cameras report crime before it happens many times. And every Safe Touch security system is custom designed for you and comes with our exclusive Safe Touch parts and labor agreement at no charge. Safe Touch security systems have a guaranteed response and are installed by real professionals. Know you and your family are safe and protected the right way. Go to safetouch.com right now for more information. Safe Touch, doing what others can't for over 35 years. State license number EF0000233.
It's time for some straight talk. Even though most live sports are on hold now, big wireless companies haven't stopped playing games. They're always trying to lock you into overpriced contracts. With Straight Talk Wireless, there are no contracts. It runs on America's best network, same as the big carriers, but you save up to 50%. $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G. You might miss sports, but don't play games, you'll lose. Straight Talk Wireless. No contracts, no compromise.
Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Augers, trenchers, blades, brooms, shredders, mulchers, hammers, compactors, planers, rollers, rakes. That's just a sample of the more than 100 attachments John Deere offers for skid steer and compact track loaders. The added versatility provided will help you win more jobs. And with the universal self-cleaning quick attach system, you can switch from one type of attachment to another in no time flat. Your John Deere dealer can help you choose the right attachments to help you run your world. Visit johndeere.com/compact attachments to learn more.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Hey, welcome back to Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Brent Martineau, former Jags player, Austin Lane with us here on with us. You're with us every day. It's your show.
It's our show, man. It's our show, bro. Oh, it's my show now? Is that what we're doing?
Well, okay. It depends. It depends if we had the whole Conor McGregor kind of thing.
Yeah, a little storyline going on here. Get out the steel chair. Let's go.
I was planting the seeds.
I like it, man.
That's what happens when you're texting and talking at the same time, or tweeting and talking at the same time. That's what I was just doing.
It's rough.
Hey, let's get right to the line right now because we have sports back in Jacksonville this week, really in Ponte Vedra, but we're going to call it Jacksonville if that's okay, Northeast Florida. And joining us is professional golfer Justin Huber, who's participating in the Corn Ferry Tour Challenge, which is at Dyes Valley course. Sports stopped here in the Northeast Florida area at the Players Championship back in March, and now we see it return with golf at the PGA Tour level, at the Corn Ferry Tour level, and Dyes Valley course will be hopping. It already was the practice range. I saw some shots out there today. Justin, thanks for joining us, man, here on Action Sports Jax.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Looking forward to getting back into some action this week.
I was going to say, listen, we have tried to talk sports the last few months without sports actually happening. That's what we do. We talk about it. We don't have to worry about playing it. What has this time been like for you? How much have you practiced? How much did you just lay low? What was it like?
Yeah, at the beginning, I was amped up to play. We were getting ready I was getting ready to play 9 out of 11 weeks in a row, and then starting with the week following Players. And then obviously all this happened, so I was still kind of jacked up. And I played for the first, probably week and a half, 2 weeks, and then I realized it kind of set in that this isn't going to happen anytime soon. So I took probably 3 weeks off where I didn't even, get the clubs out of the garage, and then kind of slowly ease back in, play for a week, take a few days off, and then the last 3-4 weeks just kind of started to ramp it up a bit.
Justin Huber with us. He's playing this week at Dyes Valley course, Corn Ferry Tour Challenge. How's your game? Do you even know?
Yeah, that's a good question. Fortunately, we've been having these little events kind of at TPC. Some guys have been putting on kind of a big cash game, if you will, each week, a little 2-day event where you at least get to go play competitively, play your own ball the whole way, and give you a little bit of feedback. So game feels good. Honestly, just a little anxious and ready to get back out there. It's been a while.
What about the procedures in place? Is there anything super noticeable? Does this feel somewhat normal getting back to the golf course? How do you guys feel about it? How do you personally feel about it?
Yeah, personally, I'm thankful that it seems to be edging closer to what the old normal used to be. There are the procedures in place, and I understand why they're doing it. We all had to go to Mayo and get a nose swab and get tested, and fortunately it was negative. And then we get forehead scanned every day on our way into the course, and locker rooms are not available, gym is not available, hand sanitizers between every hole, what you would expect. It's nice to see that the precautions are, I would say, working so far. And I haven't heard of any players testing positive from the tests or whatever, but it's definitely a new normal. Just trying to get clubs from the reps that you have to take them to the sanitation station and no direct handoffs. It's kind of, you got some hoops to jump through, but honestly, any hoop is better than sitting on my couch for another week. So,
Justin, I'm an athlete of many sports, and golf is not one of them. But I stood outside for about 2 hours today, and I was absolutely drenched in sweat. Okay, when we talk about golf right now, number one, are you allowed to wear shorts this weekend? And number two, I mean, I get it, like golf, maybe not the most physically taxing sport, but the heat's got to affect you. How do you do your part to combat that heat and that humidity?
Yeah, for sure. So shorts are only okay in the practice rounds. We got to wear pants starting Thursday.
Okay.
And then today I called my wife. I was going to play 18 holes this morning, and I teed off around 8, got out there at like 7 and hit balls, and I was drenched. I wore my rain glove because I kept sweating through my normal gloves. And I called her when I got in the truck after playing 9 holes and hitting a few balls, and I was like, I think it's the sweatiest I've ever been. Like, these clothes have to go right in the washer when I get home. It was bad. But you got to kind of plan around that. Whether you take some Noon tablets, which are little like kind of salt electrolyte tablets, or just some sea salt, something to put in your water so you're not just drinking water all day to replenish some of the stuff. And it is, I got home today, I took a shower and took a nap, and I had a calf cramp during my nap. So I think I was a little dehydrated from this morning. So
that's the worst.
I'm a little bit. I haven't walked a ton of golf courses here recently. So I'm kind of just getting back into that too. So
the beautiful thing about that, Justin Huber with us, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. The beautiful thing, at least for us, is now we know this interview isn't the worst part of your day.
Yeah,
It was rough today, and I got a little kid at home, so it's nice to be home this week and kind of start back and be dad as well. As a tournament week kind of takes your mind off things, especially like just the anxiousness to get back going. It's been a day so far for sure.
Well, and Brent, I told you too, man. Sea salt, it works wonders, man. I mean,
Pedialyte or sea salt,
Pedialyte
right?
or sea salt, man. Absolutely, man. Can't sleep on sea salt.
I got a bag of Celtic sea salt that I have in my golf bag, and I'll just take a pinch and throw it in the water and chug it, and it doesn't taste good, but it works.
Well, absolutely, man. Especially me, because I'm like 6'6", 245, so I sweat a lot. So I just go on a Jack's Beach, and I just take my thermos and just go right in the water and just fill up that ocean water, man. It's all good.
Justin Huber with us, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Unlike Austin, I do like golf and follow golf a lot, and not very good at it, but I like to follow it. I cannot keep up with all you guys living in the Northeast Florida area. How long have you been? You went to you're from Arkansas. You went to the University of Indianapolis, I believe. Well,
yeah.
How long you been here? You're one of a bunch of guys that now live here.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, really. Just the facilities that they have for us here. If you have status on the tours, you get to practice out at TPC all year, play for free, nothing. So that's a huge bonus and benefit. And Jacksonville's a nice place to travel out of. And I've been here 6 years now. I moved up here when I first got status, and then kind of played in Latin America for a year, and then I've been out on the formerly Web.com and Korn Ferry Tour now for the last few years. Had a hip surgery last year in March, and so I'm coming off that, and now I'm a little extra anxious to get back out there because this is just an extra layoff. So
you're a big guy,
there's what's that?
You're
Sorry?
a big guy, 6'4". Are you like just a golfer growing up, or do you play other sports?
I played hoops growing up in Indiana. I went to middle school and high school in Indiana, and basketball was huge up there. So I did that, and I high jumped for track. So I kind of dabbled in all of them. As a kid, I played everything kind of growing up, and then gravitated toward golf and basketball, and then golf seemed to be I was better at golf, put it that way. And so I stuck with that. I miss playing basketball, but I'm not cut out
that's where
for
the
that
athletes
anymore.
are, Brent. So
high jump is legit.
That's where the athletes go.
How far do you hit it off the tee? And what's your furthest drive ever?
Oof. I typically will fly the ball like 300 to 315 in the air. So it, depending on roll, they can go further than that. And I think the last year I was playing in Kansas City on one of the measuring holes, it went just over 400 yards because it was downwind and the fairway was firm. So that's not a normal thing, but it goes a long ways.
That's awesome. Don't tell that part of the story. Just say the fairway.
All right, Justin.
I think it was like 402 yards or something. I hit a lob wedge into this par 5. It was kind of nice.
All right, Justin, before we wrap up here, man, we have to address something real quick that I've come across with you. If we go on your Twitter page here, it says that you love to bass fish. Obviously, by the picture, you're probably more of a largemouth guy than you are a smallmouth guy. Very cool.
Yeah.
I grew up in Wisconsin, okay, and I have a lot of friends who are sponsored muskie fishermen. Now, I'm not a fisherman myself, but I know how the sports work. And I know sometimes when you catch a fish and you take a picture with it, there's camera tricks. I'm looking at the picture right now of you holding this largemouth bass that looks like a great white shark, and you're 6'4", keep in mind, so it's a very big fish. How much of it is actually the size of the fish? How much of it is the camera trick? And how much, can you kind of just tell the story a little bit of how you came to acquire that behemoth of a largemouth bass?
Yeah, so big time bass fisherman. I actually did a lot of smallmouth fishing in Indiana. I had another buddy that played professional golf, and we used to go walk the Sugar Creek. And we'd practice in the morning, go walk the creek in the afternoon, and catch a bunch of smallmouth. But his dad and him are actually with me the day I caught that one down in just south of Orlando, one of these lakes that's down a 13-mile dirt road type deal. It kind of takes a lot to get to, but once you get there, it's incredible. And that one was, I think, 11 pounds, 6 ounces, 11 pounds, 8 ounces. It's the biggest fish I've ever caught. Right. There's no camera tricks in that one. It was, I thought I hooked an alligator. And then when it finally swirled by the boat and I saw what it was, I was like, oh my gosh. And I never caught one that was 10 pounds. And I landed it, and I looked at my buddy's dad, and I said, that's got to be 10 pounds. And he goes, oh, that is well over 10 pounds. And put it on the scale, threw it back in the water, and snapped the picture. It was fun. I miss those days.
Bigger flex, 402-yard drive, 11-pound bass.
11-pound bass.
Yeah, that's impressive, man. That's really impressive.
Hey, by the way, I hope there's spotters out there because my guess is with all this rain, Dyes Valley has some thick rough, right?
It is. It's thick. If you fly a driver in there, even a par 3 today, I missed the green, just literally probably 2 yards left of the green that plugged in the rough just because it's so soft, and it took us probably a minute or two to find it.
Yeah.
But no, there's no spotters. It's kind of – it'll be interesting to see how it plays out because it is soft. It's unfortunate because they had the golf course in incredible shape last week, played a couple of early mornings before the rain came, and it was flawless. And today it was good. It's just you can't combat all this rain, but the greens are still really good, and it'll be a good test this week.
Awesome. Justin Huber, good luck this week, man. Thanks for taking a few minutes. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on.
You bet. Justin Huber lives here in town from Arkansas, went to the University of Indianapolis, caught an 11-pound bass one time.
Man.
That's his fish story.
Yeah. Hey, did you see the picture? The picture's insane.
I did see the Twitter handle. That's awesome.
I mean, now, once again, he's 6'4", okay? And it looks like he caught like a marlin.
He just told you it was legit.
It was legit, though. It wasn't a camera trick. Because, there's a lot of camera tricks out there, Brent.
I did not know that, actually.
Oh, you know camera tricks?
No.
Oh, I can tell you about them during the break. Yeah, there's a bunch of camera tricks out there.
But the fish guys use that a lot?
Oh, but of course,
I mean, there are camera tricks for everything, I would imagine.
For sure. Oh, yeah. Fish guys use it all the time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
There you go.
I kind of just take it as I see it, but might not be the way to do it.
Don't get that wool pull over your eyes, man. Don't get that wool pull over your eyes.
Corn Ferry Tour Challenge at Dyes Valley course. Could have talked to Justin even a little bit more about it, but Dyes Valley course can be very underrated. It's a great golf course, but obviously it's in the shadow of TPC Stadium course, which is worldwide known. But Dyes Valley, man, the rough there sometimes can be super thick. These guys can handle it probably better than some of us, but it's underrated at how good a course that is over there. Then they'll go to World Golf Village next week. So we got a little sports back. You can sense it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's a good sense of an athlete right there that wants to play and can't wait to get back out there, you could sense the excitement. And all the PGA Tour guys are doing the same in Texas this week as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's great talking to, Justin, obviously. I mean, you could really sense the enthusiasm coming through that phone call, right? So, listen, it's almost like, I don't know if it feels like the first day going back to school or the last day leaving school, but whatever the reason is, I mean, these guys are excited to get back at it and get back to work and just show off their craft.
Speaking of, the sport that got back first, did it right in Jacksonville, was UFC. Mm-hmm. Quick thought or two on Fight Island, man.
Yeah.
Are you surprised that it finally happened? Did you know it was going to happen? I mean, I know there's been talks about it. But I almost was a little surprised. I was like, oh, wow, this really is going to happen. I thought it was kind of more, it felt at times it was more this carrot dangling so they could get to Jacksonville or get to Vegas or, but here it is. I mean, they're really going to do this. I saw pictures or illustrations of the island. Looks like a place we all want to be.
No, without a doubt. So it's in the Yas Island, it's called, in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
And obviously we had Dana White on the show, and I don't know if he mentioned Fight Island or not, but even back when he was on the show a couple weeks ago, when the fights were here in Jacksonville, I mean, there was talks of it, right? But I always kind of imagined Fight Island just to be a thing where if COVID-19 lasted a lot longer, that would be the venue, right? Where that would be the location to have these fights and kind of get away from everybody, obviously, and not really have to worry about a commission because it's an island, okay? It's like the game Mortal Kombat. There are no rules. But now sports are coming back. The UFC is obviously still conducting fights. So I just kind of thought, well, when sports came back, Fight Island wouldn't be a thing anymore. But like the way Fight Island is grown now, it's almost like this folk thing where it's like Fight Island, Fight Island. You see this hashtag, UFC Fight Island. You see these Fight Island t-shirts. So it almost kind of grew into its own thing where do they really need Fight Island anymore? No, but now it's like it's something interesting. It's something cool to talk about. So I think it's cool, man. They've also announced some big fights that are going to happen on Fight Island. And let's be honest, it's another dynamic that people can talk about via social media or in the news about the UFC. And I think that's good for the UFC.
I think it is. And this is some of the stuff Dana White said. He's got a lot of stuff going on right now. This was one of it, trying to get those details worked out. It begged the question to me, what other sports would be cool on an island?
I know, right?
Right? I mean, what would you go watch on an island in this sense? Because this is kind of cool. Like if it's... Did you see the arena, the place, or is it? I mean, is it solely outside? Because it did have some covered buildings in the illustrations.
So here's the thing: they haven't really offered too many details of exactly what it's going to look like, because there was some speculation to say it's actually going to be outdoors.
Yeah,
right.
I would kind of hope so in a way.
Well, yeah, but then keep in mind, and listen, I don't know what the weather is it's what it's like right now in Abu Dhabi, but yeah, you got to take into mind like the humidity. You got to take in time if it rains, and because then the surface can be affected.
Sorry.
So I'm not sure. Hey, you know what though? You corrected yourself, and I'm proud of you for doing that. So there are a lot of elements that can kind of count against it being outside, but I'm sure they're going to announce that later down the pipe here. But yeah, like I said, it's crazy, and it's another thing to talk about. Other sports that I would like to see on an island, man. You know what? The only one that really kind of sticks out to me right now, sports on an island, is baseball, obviously, right? Because like basketball, you're not really gonna get the effect because you play inside in basketball. I mean, unless you have like an outside venue. But then if you have an outside venue, do like Rucker Park, like do like a storied basketball game at something like that. You know, like baseball. Maybe you can kind of make the same argument, like play one in Iowa or something like that. So I guess
they are doing that.
Yeah, it's correct. Okay,
but no, I think yours is a good point. I mean, especially with the Latin presence in Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
like it would. And by the way, I guess with the world, they essentially probably have played on an island. But
sure.
I mean, I guess what I'm thinking, and I'm not saying like an island country, so to speak, more just like that island feel. Like, what would you take to a venue? So baseball isn't far off, but they probably kind of have done that, you know? I guess you wouldn't take football to an island, right? Because then you're probably without as much fans as you want. I guess a lot of things don't fit.
No, I mean... I can picture like.
Yes, I understand beach volleyball. By the way, would be a good thing to take to volleyball.
That's the first thing I was going to say. But I'm like, well, that's
pretty obvious, right?
So, what about like a track meet? I mean, and maybe you can say like, well, obviously Jamaica is technically an island, I think, so they have track meets in Jamaica. But I don't know, like Olympic events, maybe. Like, could you picture the Olympics on an island? Now, keep in mind, I get it. Like, as far as the crowds and things like that, you could never house that many people. But for some reason, if COVID-19 is still going on next year and the Olympics are still in jeopardy, could you theoretically just have it on an island with just the athletes?
Yeah. It's probably too big.
Too big still. I know it's a lot of countries, a lot of traveling, a lot of athletes. I understand
it's
that.
too big.
Yeah.
I like your thought though.
Yeah.
How about this? Okay.
Hit me with it.
Could you create like, I don't know if it's the Grand Prix style race, like Formula One style racing. Do they already do that? Do they do that? Like, they might do it. Like, I'm thinking of a really nice place like Monaco's on island, but no. So could you do a Formula One kind of race?
I mean, there's definitely money in that.
Yeah.
You know?
Or I'll tell you what else would be kind of cool, like from a just an aesthetic point of view of watching it, is something you guys were talking about a little earlier, like a motocross or supercross.
Yeah.
Because you see those guys flying
Yeah.
right over the
Nothing but
jumps
ocean.
and the ocean in the background. I mean, it really creates some pretty good
That's
scenes.
cool. I like that.
You know?
I like that a lot.
So,
Did you guys say golf?
Yeah, I mean, they've done stuff like that in the Bahamas and Bermuda and places like that. So it fits. I think that fits. I almost think like golf and volleyball and almost like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But kind of outside the norm, what would work? UFC is outside the norm. You know, I mean, I got to fight on an island. But I think like a supercross event or something would be cool.
Yeah, man.
The problem is I don't think they would spend the money and all that because what's the return?
Yeah.
You know?
Come with me now. The Westminster Dog Show, because people love the beach and people love dogs and puppies. Combine them.
Okay.
Done.
On that note,
hey, you're
let's
welcome.
Go to break.
Hey, I'm sorry, Brett. You don't like making money? You don't like making money? I guess you got enough, don't you? You got the outside fireplace. You're good, though.
I'll watch that one from my fireplace at home.
Just a bunch of dogs playing in the sand? What's wrong with that, man? That's one of America's favorite pastimes.
I still don't
Pups in
understand.
the sand.
If there are two things I don't get fully,
Careful.
it's that the dog show and the spelling bee are on sports channels.
Oh, wow, Brent. Who are you sometimes, man? What's wrong with the dog show,
What about
dude?
a spelling bee island?
Spelling bee island?
You're not allowed to leave until you spell all the words right.
Spelling bee island? Well, what do you think against the dog shows?
I don't know why it's like put it on Discovery
on ESPN.
Channel.
It was on
Animal Planet.
It's on like USA. It's not on ESPN.
I know, but they show highlights of it.
Because it's puppies and dogs. Hey, you need to learn who your audience is.
It's competition.
Yeah. You need to learn who your audience is.
Like, I get cornhole.
Do you get
the
eating?
dog show?
Do you get eating every single 4th of July? Do you get that one? Hot dog eating contest?
Not really. No.
Yeah, me neither.
No.
Me neither.
I don't. That should be on the Food Network.
Yeah. If you have to add the word competitive in front of the sport, it's not really a sport. Competitive gaming, competitive eating.
Yeah. Competitive
not really
radio
sport.
coming up next on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
A scattered heavy shower storm this evening and some fog later on tonight, dropping into the low to mid 70s. Partly sunny, hot and humid Wednesday with scattered afternoon showers and storms and highs near 90. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds. Buy one, get one wedding band sale through this Sunday at Beard's Diamonds.
After a long day, having my dogs meet me at the door with their silly smiles and wagging tails makes me happy. I want to keep that joy with me for years to come. That's why I trust Forever Vets Animal Hospital to keep my pets healthy. Forever Vets was voted 2019's Best Vet in Jacksonville Magazine's Readers Poll, and it's easy to see why. The affordable wellness plans are tailored to meet all of your pet's changing needs as they grow. Open 7 days a week, Forever Vets' friendly staff is available to treat you and your pet with care. They combine extended hours with online booking to allow you to give your pet quality care while accommodating your schedule. Go online to forevervets.com to find which of their 8 offices is nearest you. And don't forget the newest location in Riverside, Forever Vets Animal Hospital, keeping your pets happy and healthy forever.
I call them 3 shirt days. That's when the summer heat in Jacksonville just sizzles. It's relentless, and you want to be prepared for it. Bold City Heating and Air will help you do that. Nothing worse than sweating in your own home and wondering, hey, what happened to the AC? We've been there before. Your air conditioning unit needs to be ready for the heat. It might need to get serviced. The hot weather is here, and Bold City Heating and Air is here for you, just like they have been for my family the last couple of years. Right now, it's $25 off an annual maintenance. Bold City will thoroughly service, clean, and test your system to ensure it is working efficiently. Then you'll be comfortable this summer, all summer. After the $25 off, it's just $70. Book your maintenance service now and save. Save now, beat the heat. Visit boldcityac.com or call 904-379-1648 to schedule. Mirza and his staff are ready to take care of you and your family. Be bold and beat the heat and make it a one-shirt day, even in the summer heat. Go to boldcityac.com.
At Action News Jax, we tell a weather story that's really built just for you. Most of us have lives that take us out in the elements for work, for play, or just getting from point A to point B. And that means you need to be ready to get through your day.
I'm Action News Jax First Alert Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
Our team of meteorologists didn't go to school just to read you temperatures. We do this so that the people that trust us know exactly what to expect today, tomorrow.
Action News Jax First Alert Weather Team. We're here for severe.
Been dreaming of subway tile and butcher block counters? Outdoor kitchens and pavers?
Oh, honey.
The weather's great and it's time to knock out those nagging home projects with a Honeydew HELOC from 1-to-1 Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union. Borrow up to 90% loan to value and pay no closing costs. Best of all, we'll give you a free wheelbarrow. That's right, a free wheelbarrow. Apply today at 1to1fcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA. Just please, no more shiplap.
Oh, it's hot in Jacksonville. Summer is here. Hotter weather means your family should be drinking more water. Stay hydrated, but make sure you do it in a healthy way. Take care of your family by having clean, purified water. That's what we have in our house. With a Kinetico system from CGC Water, you can remove up to 99% of contaminants. And right now, you can get an incredible offer, a free A200 reverse osmosis drinking water system with the purchase of a Kinetico Premier Softener. Call CGC at 904-552-1242. CGC will test your tap water so you can better understand what's in your water. That's important. It's free, and there is no obligation to buy anything. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. And while you're on the website, CGC wants your help to recognize frontline workers. They've been doing a great job. Nominate a worker, and they might get a free RO system. cgcwater.com, serving Northeast Florida and Southeastern Georgia. CGC Water Treatment, your local independent Kinetico dealer.
Is the summer of 2020 the year you upgrade her diamond? After all we've been through this year, can you think of a better way to make 2020 a year she will always remember in a positive way? Diamonds Direct is here to help with our best ever selection of large, rare diamonds and our most aggressive finance offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing with 0 down. So you can upgrade her diamond and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest charges. And if you bought her original diamond from us, it's even better because we'll give you 110% of your original purchase price to be used toward the upgrade. So you can really go big. If your luxury travel had to be postponed this year, make the journey to Diamonds Direct and let her escape in our world of sparkle and romance. And take advantage of our special summer of 2020 financing offer. 5 years, 0 interest with nothing down on approved credit. Diamonds Direct.
Off Town Center Parkway.
Nobody wants tax problems, and lives have certainly changed in the last couple of months. So let me tell you about J. David Tax Law. They are here to help you and your business with tax debt issues during the pandemic. Tax problems can be stressful, especially right now. If you owe a tax debt, there are new programs available that can help reduce or eliminate your IRS or sales tax burden. But here's the deal. The programs expire on July 15th, so don't wait. That's coming soon. Get the help you need with tax debt, payroll taxes, bank levies, wage garnishments, tax liens, and unfiled returns. With stimulus packages being distributed, the IRS will be collecting an unprecedented amount of tax debt to fund this historic initiative. J. David Tax Law only has experienced tax attorneys that will represent you. You want to be able to walk in and talk to someone and look them right in the eye when it comes to your taxes. J. David Tax Law is someone you can trust. If you have federal or state sales tax debt, have a sit down with J. David Tax Law. Your first step is a no-cost consultation. Call J. David Tax Law 904-507-4777, 904-507-4777, or go to jdavidtaxlaw.com. I call them 3 shirt days. That's when the summer heat in Jacksonville just sizzles. It's relentless, and you want to be prepared for it. Bold City Heating and Air will help you do that. Nothing worse than sweating in your own home and wondering, hey, what happened to the AC? We've been there before. Your air conditioning unit needs to be ready for the heat. It might need to get serviced. The hot weather is here, and Bold City Heating and Air is here for you, just like they have been for my family the last couple of years. Right now, it's $25 off an annual maintenance. Bold City will thoroughly service, clean, and test your system to ensure it is working efficiently. Then you'll be comfortable this summer, all summer. After the $25 off, it's just $70. Book your maintenance service now and save. Save now, beat the heat. Visit boldcityac.com or call 904-379-1648 to schedule. Mirza and his staff are ready to take care of you and your family. Be bold and beat the heat and make it a one-shirt day, even in the summer heat. Go to boldcityac.com.
This is a CMG Open for Business report. During these changing times, it's challenging for businesses across North Florida, big and small, but businesses are adjusting to meet your needs in a safe and comfortable way. Here's today's list of businesses that are open for you. St. Augustine KOA, Brightway Insurance, Ace Arena, Adventure Landing, Wagon Trail Express. If you're open for business, let us know by emailing us at openjax@cmg.com. Together, we're getting through this.
At Action News Jax, we tell a weather story that's really built just for you. Most of us have lives that take us out in the elements for work, for play, or just getting from point A to point B. And that means you need to be ready to get through your day.
I'm Action News Jax First Alert Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
Our team of meteorologists didn't go to school just to read you temperatures. We do this so that the people that trust us know exactly what to expect today, tomorrow, and the next day.
Action News Jax First Alert Weather Team. We're here for severe.
Our normal way of life has been changing quickly due to coronavirus. New rules to follow, and basically all sports have been put on hold. Heck, you might even be working from home. Hey, everybody, it's Brent Martineau. If you're not in the car from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m., check in on Action Sports Jax on your smart speaker. Tell your Amazon Echo or Google Home to play ESPN 690.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30. Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Very important right now. As you can see, this is not my city, this is little Duval city. And we need guys like him to come out, support his own city, which he's been doing for years. And I think one by one, everything's coming together.
That is Leonard Fournette this morning organized a peaceful protest and getting a lot of love for it on the heels of the Jaguars having a march from team headquarters to Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, the steps of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office on Friday. The Jaguars are doing their part. They are trying and they are taking action. What now? I don't know. I don't know where it goes. I don't know what kind of conversations are happening. But they have had some high-profile members of their organization out in front of this and putting a face to it and leading the movement here, at least in Duval County and in Jacksonville and Northeast Florida. There were almost 1,000 people out there today with Leonard Fournette when he invited the public to come out. And I think you'll see future events. I was told last Friday that the Jaguars will have future events that include the public and invite the public out. So we'll see what can take place, what will take place, what change takes place. We've spent a lot of the time today talking a little bit about Fournette in him as a Jacksonville Jaguar, both on and off the field, and also just about this generation of athletes on and off the field. And I think after we talked about it, I think it's a really good case to make how impactful this generation of athlete is and has been. And by the way, there's still more to come. I mean, we're not talking about all these guys retiring. We're talking about a lot of young players. You know, what does Patrick Mahomes do? Does he really do something that's big? Not only on the field, but again, does he try to take those reins off the field, much like a LeBron James has? How LeBron James has staying power beyond his playing days, right? What does he do after this? Tiger Woods has jumped in the fray a little bit. Will he do more now? But there's somebody in every sport and multiple people in a lot of sports that are now taking hold of this particular movement with today's athlete. And like I said a couple of times now, and I think there's an irony to this for me, and I don't know if it's just because I've lived in this business for 20 years, and at least sometimes in this business, sports is kind of like over here in the corner, and people love it. People talk about it, and people think it's a part of it, but it's kind of still over here. I still believe in the last 3 months during this pandemic, I think sports has been a constant discussion, because it's kind of what gets our world going again in the just as much as restaurants and other things too. But we kind of feel like, right, if the NFL plays, well, that feels normal. We have our schedule. Well, what stopped the world and what helped stop the world is when sports said, we're not playing anymore. Well, then it felt like, what is going on here? That's an important role in the pandemic. That's an important part of how a lot of Americans and people around the world feel that, wow, sports stopped. That means the world kind of stopped. I don't think I'm over-dramatizing that. I think when it comes to this movement, Black Lives Matter and social injustice, racial injustice, I think we are seeing sports front and center in the conversation. We are here in Jacksonville at the very least. So it's very interesting to me as somebody who's been in the business now for 2 decades to see that. I know we're living in an historic time, and to see sports part of that conversation. I'm not saying it's the most important part, but it's part of the conversation.
And we've talked about it before on this show, but it's an interesting time because you mentioned it. When COVID-19 hit and sports went away, it gave professional athletes a chance to, try to reflect a little bit, to try to navigate the landscape and obviously use their voices how they felt fit. Okay? And the cool thing about it is it doesn't matter if you're like a Patrick Mahomes or if you're maybe like a Chris Conley, who's maybe not so well known in terms of every NFL city. But the point is everybody's voice is getting heard right now, right? And big or small, everyone's voice can be heard and is used to inspire change, right? I mean, one could say Chris Conley's speech, well, what did he talk about? He talked about that monument, and what happened like a couple days later? It got knocked down, okay? Now, how much is, goes off Chris Conley's speech of him saying that, and all of a sudden it's because of him, why it got knocked down the first, who knows?
Wow, I think a big part.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is it inspired the change, right? And let's be honest, that's a guy right now who's probably like a third-string wide receiver, but he's making a difference. So you have all these athletes, regardless of status, regardless of how many Pro Bowls, how many All-Star games, how many All-Pro nominations they have, that are all making a difference, okay? And you have teams coming together, and that's great. It has to ask the question, though. When sports start back up again, when NFL players go back on that field, the problem doesn't go away. The problem's still there. And let's be honest, it's not a problem that you can just all of a sudden ignore, go on a football field and say, all right, well, you guys got it from here, have fun. No, I mean, it's a problem that you have to keep on addressing. And I'm just curious to see what the NFL players, what the league has planned in general for when the season does start. Because I understand you have to win football games and you have to focus on the task at hand. But I guarantee the players in that locker room are still going to be trying to find ways to inspire that change, to use their voice, and to try to create a greater good.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think you said it, and we've said it, and I think it's worth repeating. This pause from sports may have empowered this movement more than anything else would have. Now I'm interested to see where it goes. Does the conversation continue? Do sports figures just get back to work? Like so many others are, getting back to their normal lives, and do we lose some of the messaging, or do they take this platform and do more with it? Because now it does look like, as we talked about with Jason Fitz, it's being allowed or encouraged more so than in the past.
And I thought it was very interesting, too, today from Leonard Fournette's speech. One of the very first things that he opened with, it's something that's been echoed by a couple NFL players now that we've seen, but he said that when we take the knee, it's not for the flag. I mean, it's not for, going against the military or disrespecting the flag. It's for the racial injustice part. And Leonard Fournette brought that up in his speech, one of the very first things he opened with. So that's on his radar. Obviously, if it's on Leonard Fournette's radar, it's on other players' radars as well. And when we talk about, once again, despite how you feel about it, if it's coming and players are going to take the knee, one can wonder how that reaction is going to be handled compared to the reaction when it first happened with Colin Kaepernick, 3 or 4 years ago.
I'm going to give you an NFL quiz here in just a moment. I want to see if you know anything about the NFL. But you bring up something interesting to me, and I'd be lying to you if I haven't thought this, okay? I understand. I think I've read some people say there'll be a record amount of players that will kneel because the door is opened for that. I think U.S. Women's National Team has tried to repeal the soccer I'm talking about, has tried to repeal a rule that says you can't kneel during the anthem. So I think we're going to see more kneeling during the anthem in the fall. Let's just relate it to football. I'd just be lying to you if this hasn't crossed my mind. I feel like everybody's attention right now is, for the most part, I know there's some political stuff that comes into play, but is on the movement right, is kind of toward a common goal or at least conversations about a goal. Do players need to kneel for the anthem in the fall? Or do you think it's more of, you didn't let us do it then, we're doing it now? And so I guess again, this has crossed my mind. Will it help the cause to kneel? We had that discussion a little bit last week, and I don't know if it will. But do you think players feel like it's more, this is part of the current protest, or is this more because players weren't allowed to do it before? And I'm really not talking just the NFL, because all sports are doing it. I mentioned U.S. Women's National Team would like to do it. You get what I'm asking?
It's a great question.
Because it's confusing me a little bit in that sense.
I see exactly where you're coming from. And let's just put it on the table here, Brent. You're asking me, is taking a knee this season for NFL players, is it geared more towards, hey, Donald Trump in your face, or is it geared towards more the important message of spreading the Black Lives Matter movement?
That's a good way to say it, but I would also say is it also against maybe Trump in support of Kaepernick?
Sure. Okay. Exactly. Because, I mean, and Trump has obviously called out Roger Goodell, and Trump has brought it to everyone's attention. Yes. And once again, I've said it before on this show, when Donald Trump had some expletive language geared towards Colin Kaepernick, that's when you saw the rebellion, if you will, of NFL players saying, well, you're not going to call it one of my brothers. Check this out. And more players started taking the knee. So one could say, is it the battle between the NFL and the commander-in-chief?
Yes.
And
being kind of right.
And I would be naive to say, you know what, there is some emotion brought to that. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, and listen, we saw this with Drew Brees as well. Like, I don't think we really saw NFL players come out and say we're taking a knee until the Drew Brees conversation got started, right? Yeah. Because Drew Brees was so against it, and you saw the backlash that happened to him after it. And now he's kind of changed his tune a little bit, and now he's kind of a big ambassador, I would feel like, for the Black Lives Matter movement. So is some of it emotionally charged towards President Trump? Well, I'd be stupid if I said it. Yeah, I mean, obviously, some of it's going to be emotionally charged towards Trump. But at the end of the day, it's a form of protest, okay? And despite how you feel about players doing it, and I'm not trying to tell people to take sides right now. That's not my job. I'm just calling it like I see it. Protests aren't supposed to be convenient. Protests aren't supposed to make you feel comfortable. And protests aren't supposed to make you go like, oh, yeah, okay, that's fine. Like, the whole point of a protest is to get people to talk about it and to make people feel uncomfortable, okay? When people see NFL players take a knee during a national anthem, you know what that does? It makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable, whether you're for the cause or against it, because you're not accustomed to seeing that, okay? That's the point of it. And I honestly don't think that message has gotten lost. I think players understand that, listen, when we go back to the NFL, if we go back to the NBA, if we go back to playing soccer again, our time, our energy, and just our beliefs, some of them have to be put on hold because we have to focus on going through a season. And that's the way it is. I'm sure every single NFL player in that Jaguars locker room will love to protest every single day, or at least most of them would, and they'd love to be out in the streets. But that's not realistic because they're professional athletes. They have a job to do, and if they don't do the job, guess what? They're like, oh, and they're back on the streets. So to me, taking a knee during the national anthem, it's the ultimate form of protest. It's showing that, yes, I'm a professional athlete, and I have other things on my plate right now. I have to focus on the game at hand, but we haven't forgot about you. We're still down for the cause. And in my opinion, right now, of all forms of protest during the season, I think taking a knee for the national anthem is probably the most powerful message that you can send for a protest. It's probably the biggest thing that you can do right now to make people, number one, feel uncomfortable, and number two, get people talking.
Yeah, and then I would also follow that up, and this is where we differed last week, is do you divert the message? Yes, uncomfortable is right, but then do we divert the message? I wonder. We'll see if it's received differently, right? Yeah. We'll see if there are leagues become more supportive of it, owners become more supportive of it, willing to talk about it, coaches as well, which wasn't the case before. So there will feel like there's more support is my guess. I also would say what else? What else? Because to me, again, I sense, and this is just me right now, ask me again in 2 months, I feel like it is trying to be like a win in this back and forth.
Yeah.
I also would say, well, how have players then evolved their sense of protest in sport? Mm-hmm. Like, what will we see from the NBA is something I'm curious about. Mm-hmm. I don't think it will just be kneeling for the anthem. I think it could be something else, whether it's a band, whether it's something. I'm curious to see how sports will continue the protest, like we did with soccer over the weekend, where they loosened some of their usual restrictions as well. Yeah. I think there was a band. We saw some knees. There was a T-shirt underneath a uniform. So I wonder where NFL, but also other players here in the United States take their protest to. Is it just a knee? And I don't mean to say just a knee, but is there more to it? Yeah, and listen, I think there will be more to it, but at the end of the day, the knee is going to be the strongest thing because we've seen this TV show before, okay? And we've seen how it played out the first time. Now, will it look different? Will it be responded different? I think absolutely, right? Because we talk about all the time. We feel like right now this country has changed a little bit. This country has changed of how we feel about racial injustice and kind of, the history that we've been going back on now and doing our research a little bit and kind of seeing the other side of it. Now, once again, there's always going to be the group that doesn't agree with it. But listen, I've had conversations with someone that's been pretty close to the whole Kaepernick thing, all right? And then this person has taken the knee themselves, okay? And this conversation took part probably 3 or 4 years ago, back when it was like really the hot button issue at the time. And I'll never forget what he told me. And he shared the sentiments of a lot of players in the NFL locker room, where they felt like they live in a country where people perceive the flag as the ultimate symbol of freedom and justice, correct? But they're upset, and the reason why they do it is because people are so concerned about the symbol of freedom and justice that maybe some people don't actually realize the freedom and justice that's been going on in the country, okay? And that's why a lot of the players choose to take the knee, because it's like, do you care about this symbol, or do you actually care about the real freedom and justice that's happening in the country? Once again, this is just a narrative that an NFL player told me one time, okay? And I think this NFL player, I think he shares a lot of the same sentiments as some of the other players in those locker rooms. And that's where the NFL players are at right now. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And by the way, all of this in presidential election year. Yeah. Buckle your seatbelt in the fall. All right, let's end the show with some a little bit of lighter things, and that is how well do you know your NFL? I saw this on The Athletic, so I haven't really even seen this. Okay. But I'm going to go for it. Which of these quarterbacks led the league in passer rating in 2019? It's not Jameis Winston. Lamar Jackson, Drew Brees, Ryan Tannehill, or Patrick Mahomes? Ryan Tannehill. Woo, did you already take this? No, I haven't. Tell me now. Be honest with me now. Did you already take this test? I swear, Scout's honor, that I haven't taken it yet. All right, Tennessee's Derrick Henry. Don't let him tell you any different. I just told him the answer in his ear. This again? No, Derrick Henry led the NFL in rushing 1,540 yards in last year. There were 16 players who ran for more than 1,000 yards, and most since 16 did it in 2012. Who finished second in rushing? In rushing yards total? Chris, do you want me to give you guesses? No. Nick Chubb. Let's see. Yes. He took this dang test. No, bro, I swear I haven't. I swear. Dude, I play fantasy. Michael Thomas set a new single-season record for catches with 149. His 5,500 career receiving yards surpassed Pro Football Hall of Famer Randy Moss for most by a player in his first 4 seasons in the league. Okay. Aside from Moss, who are the only 2 receivers in NFL history to record at least 1,000 yards receiving in each of their first 4 seasons. I'll give you a hint. Anquan Bolden and Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins and Odell Beckham, Mike Evans and A.J. Green, Torrey Holt and Jerry Rice. Ooh. I mean, who's the A.J. Green? Who's the other guy? Mike Evans. Mike Evans, A.J. Green. My goodness, you cheated. I swear I haven't. You're perfect so far. I haven't. This is like me in the card game, by the way, with the kids. I'm 6-0 in this card game at home. It's unbelievable. I like it. By the way, it's like this 3-up, 3-down card game. Yeah. It's total luck. Maybe there's like a few % skill. So there's no skill. But I am running around the house because I win every time. Like I've played 6 times and I've won every time. Can you imagine like a game full of luck with 4 people and you won every single time? Like it's good to have luck on your side sometimes, man. My family hates me right now. Yeah, I've actually almost pulled a hamstring in celebration because like the wins Tiger are like, pump. Like it's better than marshmallow baseball. That's awesome. I mean, dude, you guys start recording this stuff. I do. Give me some more quick. All right, here we go. I'm on a roll. What is this? It's like holding 2 handfuls of Jell-O, and about the time you think you got it corralled over in one part of your hands, it's coming out the fingers on the other? Which NFL owner said this about his team's run defense in 2019 following a loss?
Say it one time. Okay, it's
like holding 2 handfuls of Jell-O, and about the time you think you got it corralled over in one part of your hands, it's coming out the fingers on the other side.
Wow.
Redskins owner Dan Snyder, Falcons owner Arthur Blank, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, Jags owner Shad Khan.
I'm going Redskins.
I would guess. I haven't seen this, by the way. I'm going to guess Jerry Jones, because does anybody else even talk?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You go Redskins.
Pretty vocal.
You're wrong. I'm right. That's
Jerry
a
Jones?
good way to end the show.
Dang. I'm human. What can I say?
History could be made tomorrow here in Jacksonville with the Major League Baseball draft. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll see you on TV tonight on CBS 47 and Fox 30. Thanks for hanging out with us on ESPN 690.
Sí, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Charles, good talking to you. Take care, buddy.
Hey, man, make sure you tell your sweet mother. I sent her a text yesterday for Mother's Day. That lady is a saint. And tell your fat daddy absolutely nothing.
Okay, thank you, Charles. I appreciate it.
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Now more than ever, you need the open road. Windows down, wind in your hair, pure freedom. Then go see our friends over at Arlington Toyota.